Okay, we're live.
Hi, everyone.
Hey guys, how are y'all doing this fine evening, morning, or rising, wherever you are? Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. This is another episode of our Freaky Friday, where the three of us, come and take lovely questions from guests in the community,
Hi, everyone.
and yeah, see where the conversation takes us. And each and every time, it always has the most poignant and precise questions appropriate for that particular moment. And the conversation is always led to the most beautiful space. So this will surely be another one of those. And yeah, I just want to thank Charlie and Colleen for being here. Like always, love you guys, miss you. As y'all know, I just left Mexico a couple days ago. I already missed the warmth. I missed the warmth of these two lovely souls, but I missed the physical warmth as well. It's like I'm in Texas, but it's cold. I mean, to me, it's cold. Like it's not that cold, but it's cold.
That's
um,
interesting. I always thought Texas was so warm.
it's like extreme hot in the summer, but it has its seasons. Like it cools off definitely in the
Yeah,
wintertime.
the northern part of Mexico actually gets pretty cool in the winter.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're from Canada, so I mean, and anything
You big babies.
anything else is really warm.
yeah. I couldn't do that. I mean, yeah, don't like the cold anymore.
It's lucky we still have our digits frozen off in the northern
Yeah,
tundra.
right. But yeah, so I'm heading up to Dallas tomorrow to go meet up with a few beings from the Freak Sense community, and then a whole host of people from the Negative 48 crew, and it
Oh,
should be
wonderful!
a
You you
fantastic time.
you should be making contact with an audience with -48, right?
Oh
There's
yes, so we're gonna have I should be going to a little get together with Negative 48 and some of the admins. So I'll get to have some good time with them.
That's awesome.
wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, which is gonna be great. And yeah, if
Take us
y'all
in,
have,
take us in your pocket and you can just video us around.
well, that's what I was thinking, and we need to talk about that, but how we're gonna do a live stream and go into stuff. It might just be
Oh my gosh.
it'll be easy for me if I just do random lives where I just hit the go
Yeah,
live button and go. But if y'all wanted to have me on a particular show, I could always call into Zoom and go at it that way too. So whichever way y'all think is best. Um,
yeah, it's entirely up to you. I think between us, we just have endless things to talk about. So even if you're just moving from place to place or whatever, there'll never be an end of things to talk about.
no,
So
absolutely not.
either or would work great.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And tomorrow night, I don't know if Texas Dad is in the chat, but he's often in the chat. He's graciously hosting Aaron and myself tomorrow, and Sunday night. Um, and I
and
think we're
who's that? Who's that?
Texas Dad is his YouTube username. Jeremiah is his name, and yeah, he's graciously hosting us. And then
So sweet.
y'all know Nancy up in Dallas, the Dallas area as well. She's hosting Peggy and Danielle and Suzanne from the community as well. So we'll have a good crew. And I think Saturday night we're going to try and have everyone to this property that Jeremiah has, and we're going to have a little fire and
Aw.
just a little freak sense gathering. Should be fun
Which night is that?
tomorrow night. So Saturday night.
We can go.
Yeah, come on. But yeah, that might be a fun one to call into and just do a random little live or call
That
or
would be
something.
fun.
Do a fireside gathering. Yeah, but yeah, there's so much going on for sure, just to jump right into uh everything that's happening. And we were just talking before the show about the video that RFK Jr. put out recently about uh November 3rd. So November 3rd is being called a walkout day, where everyone's being asked to step out of your job, step out of your school, step out of everything, and protest this ridiculousness that's gone on for far too long, just to have a stand and say no to Satan. And so RFK Jr. is powerfully calling on that, as are, I think, General Flynn and several others. But it's just, coincidence that it's on 11/3, which is the first marker. And also a year, and just a year after last year, where the election was stolen, and all the shenanigans started. Well, the shenanigans have been going on for a while, but that particular version of the shenanigans, where it was revealed that this country has been hijacked, to those who hadn't been paying attention as much. So yeah, it's exciting times, and you can feel it. I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's completely within me, this understanding that the go has been given, the green light is lit, so everything is just playing out the way it needs to. There was now Trump recently got back on Twitter, and there's an account on Twitter that is saying that it's the official Donald Trump account, but I have no idea whether it is or not. But they've been making a number of very powerful comms all day today on that Twitter channel, and this is just does not have a lot of posts. So it's recently created. It has a fair amount of credible people connecting to it, but I still have no idea. But on it, there's a lot of comms and a lot of powerful information that's being released on it. So I guess time will tell if it is or not. But you can certainly feel palpably that this is all happening. The awakening. That's why we did the fireside chat. The Great Awakening is upon us. It is. So it's always been there. Now, I think what we should probably do, a couple of things before we dive into everything. One is I want Justin and Colleen to speak to this as well, but the incredible ciphering CY that we did on the live show, the first in the new series about Professor Tolkien's creation of Middle Earth, and so we're calling that show the White Knights of Middle Earth, the White Knights. I think it's the White Knights of Middle Earth.
Yeah, the White
Knights. And we had our show number one. It's just absolutely stunning, breathtaking. And these shows are so important to watch because we're equating everything to what's going on. And then we're going to speak to this at the beginning of the show tonight, just about how this Q plan is so tied in, is so dialed in to Sun Tzu and the Art of War. It's so dialed in to Ayn Rand, and in particular Atlas Shrugged. And it is so dialed in to Professor Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings. It is. It is because everyone, all of those book stories that we're talking about, they're all based upon the one story, and which is encoding this miracle return that is coming. So they're really very important, and so we're going to talk about that in just a second here. What I wanted to just let everybody know is that a couple of days ago on YouTube, our second YouTube channel got its second official strike for virtually nothing. Absolutely, the 2 strikes are just ridiculous. And then there was a message from YouTube saying that they were going to complete a search or an analysis or something. I can't remember what the wording was on our channel, and that if there was a third strike, then without warning, everything would be taken down. So obviously, that's happened to us before. So quickly yesterday, Colleen created another account, and then yesterday and today I put up quite a bit of really good content on that channel. And that channel for YouTube is called Freak Sense Truth-O-Vision, and Freak Sense is spelled FREQKSENSE as all one word. So it's Freak Sense with a Q and Truth-O-Vision, Freak Sense Truth-O-Vision. So if you go there, just subscribe, and we're already well over 1,000, so we can do lives, which is great. But go there and subscribe, and get familiar with it, and just know that we'll transfer everything over, because there's so much content on the YouTube channel, the one that's still up, but it could be gone at any second. So don't panic if it goes. This is the other channel. And now, most of you know that when our first channel got deplatformed, we didn't do a thing, because we wanted to show everyone that it's you don't want to dance with these demonic platforms, and two, we wanted to show that you can trust us, because the first thing that anybody who was doing this for fame and fortune, what Negative 48 calls the the fake truthers. The first thing they would have done is quickly put up another channel, or created their own website, or whatever, and then they would have just used it as leverage to start charging people, to be able to make money from it. Like Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward never had a strike on YouTube, and they did not take Charlie Ward's channel down. He took it down, and it said so. If you went to his channel, it said material deleted by what was it, host or user or whatever it was.
By user. Yep.
So he took down his own channel and then launched his own website and used this as an excuse that he's badass truth teller. And of course, they want his videos up, because lots of people are there. Probably in this group, there are people who visit there. There's no truth being told. They're being told. You have people with opinions, which are like assholes, and they just fart on that channel every day, because there's no outside comms, so there's no truth.
Kyle says you can put a lien on YouTube. They will reinstate your channel. Has anyone tried that? That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I mean, I know Santa Surfing has been doing her legal battle with YouTube, and she seems to know her stuff with it, but she still hasn't gotten it back yet. So I think it's quite difficult.
She's on Rumble then?
And all of this is a moot point, anyways. We're on the verge of territory that we can't imagine. So the only reason we're doing this is because these are big times, and we don't want anyone to panic, and we want to be able to stay connected to you. The biggest thing is just to be able to do live shows with you. We can always do on Justin's channel as well, but then again, if they take us out, Justin already has a strike.
I got one strike.
And they could hit him with 2 quick strikes and take him out as well. So this is all, we're doing this for you. We're not doing this for ourselves at all. All of this stuff is stupid, and I want nothing to do with Satan Tube. But it's for you for now, and to stay connected, because the other platforms, I really don't know anything about Rumble, and the other ones they just don't work very well at all. So it is what it is. But anyways, if you can go there, Freak Sense Truth Vision, and remember there's instead of the A in freak, it's a Q.
Yep, I just pinned the comment with the join link, so you can just go to the pinned comment at the top, and it's got the
Wonderful. And there's already some really great content there. Now, what we're going to jump into at the beginning here and get Justin and Colleen to talk about it, and that's one of the episodes you really need to watch. So it's like, well, I'm not a big Professor Tolkien fan. You should be. It's the biggest selling book, second to the Bible, since 1954. So
before we jump to that, can I do a little bit of admin stuff on grifters and people stealing things? So I just want to share with you guys, I made a post earlier on Telegram. Just want to reiterate that there is only one official Charlie Freaksense World channel, and the other one is it's a scam. It's essentially taking Charlie's work and posting ads along with it to try and make money off of it, which is wrong. So I'm just going to quickly show you this one, Freaksense World. This is the official one. And you can see that, and I wrote this in here, the only official channel. But we do have a link to the website, which I put in there, and we'll see if they copy this one. But it's funny because you've got this fake one. So this is the fake one. Charlie Freak Sense TV is absolutely fake. They come in here and they copy the wording exactly what we wrote. And they even added the only official channel, which is a lie. This is not the official channel. This is a fake. But just want to give an example of what they do. So they post and link to other channels that Charlie has nothing about. We have know nothing about. It's probably other grifters trying to make money. They post all of Charlie's videos, which would be fine if that's all they did. But then they insert this fake bullshit where it's just fear porn about EMFs and speaking in first person language, that as if Charlie, my whole house, so speaking from Charlie's perspective, saying as if he bought these things and he uses these things just to get you to buy them. And of course they have quite a few many subscribers too, so a lot of people are being fooled by this. But of course they don't allow any comments on these posts, so no one can call them out and call them fake. But just want you guys to be aware that this is a fake channel. They post all the videos. We'll see if they post this video in particular, since I'm calling it out very specifically. But this is the fake. A Freak Sense World is the real one. We also have a Freak Sense World chat. This is an official one. And then I have my channel, Justin Carpenter, and my group, JC Family. But anything else claiming to be Charlie Freak or Freak Sense is fake and not real. So just be aware of that. Be wary of what's presented there. Who knows what, if it's just trying to make money, but they could also be trying to insert some lies and stuff in there too. So y'all just need to be,
Which they already are by lying about all of those things.
yeah. So just be vigilant.
Yeah, and remember, to everyone, we secure our house through God. So we don't buy things. We don't recommend you buy anything. We recommend that you do the work and make that link to God, because when you're all in with God, you wear the armor of God, and that's exactly how it works. It very beautifully.
Someone saying say no to a Freak Sense World. No, a
No.
Freak Sense World chat is good. That's us, and a
That's
Freak
us.
Sense World is us. The only thing that is not us is Charlie Freak Sense TV. Someone stole that and they used that.
Yeah, the chat is linked to the channel. That's how you make comments on the channel, is through that chat. So both the chat and the channel are official. They're us. But the Charlie Freak Sense TV is not.
Although that's our name, they took our name and put it on a channel.
Yeah.
Eugene is asking for
I'm
the Zoom
good, yeah.
code. Beautiful. And take your time, buddy. Don't worry about anything. It's all good. It's all good. While Justin is doing that, I got a actually, I think it's in the chat today, comment from somebody who's been with us here for quite a few years, a very lovely person, and they were just commenting, made a series of comments, and I wanted to address it because you hear this so much, and it was, "Hi, Eugene."
That's what they said?
No, that's not what they said.
Hey, brother. Welcome.
But to be kind to our families, we will interrupt anything to be kind. So somebody basically is saying, I don't think I'm gonna hang around here anymore, kind of thing. And it's Charlie, you've changed, and that now it's your way or the highway,
Yeah,
and
I saw
that
that too.
you're saying that that it has to be your way or you can't do it. And it's like, I have Native ancestry and I tap into my, and that's all beautiful and wonderful. But remember, everyone, this is, whether you rail against this or not, it's ego, and it's the real ego. And this is you're getting close, but you're not prepared to go all in. And the thing that I would have thought by now most people would know is that in terms of what I do, that there's a level of sophistication and sort of thought God's thought, but there's a level of sophistication and thought to all of this, that there's a reason. There's a powerful reason for everything. I've always told you that, haven't I? I've always said that the shows that we do, when we do, and what we say and how we say things, everything has shifted and changed. And so what you're witnessing is this intensification and this simpling and this narrowing in of our message. And so you see that there's a lot of things that we have talked about for 5 years, and that we're not going over a lot of things. And right now we're just in this sort of very narrow focus, because this is the straight and narrow path, and the further you go, the narrower it gets. And we are so close to the end of this nightmare, and then a rebirth into heaven upon earth, that these other things just, they don't really matter as much. And what really matters you is to help everyone, because there are very few people outside of the Q team, and they're not saying a lot. Negative 48 says things, he's being more bold about how he says things, but most of what he says, they're coded or cryptic. And the girls have released some powerful things on the Sacred Blue Tent channel, and obviously this Sunday, two more nights, is the Jesus Strand 2. So that is going to push it even further. So there are people that know within that family. Outside of that family, there's virtually no one that knows. And we, this wonderful group here, we are the only ones that are sharing these things with you. And what we're telling you, and that's why watching you, or for you watching on Justin's channel or on our new channel, you can watch the first episode 1 of the White Knights of Middle Earth, talking about Professor Tolkien and all these great authors. That's a very important episode for you to watch, and all of them will be, because we're always tying it back to what's happening right now. And we're going to just jump into this in a second. It's so wonderful that Eugene's here now. But what I just wanted to just say to everyone, and so that you are aware of this, is that there's a miracle that's coming, and you can see this in how our teachings have shifted, and how our message has shifted. And if you looked at our message two years ago, it would have been, it's always been about God, Christ, and Mother Mary. But now it is so powerfully driven by Jesus Christ, and people are commenting on this. And again, the reason being is because 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you weren't ready for these things. And when Colleen and I first started, we took so much heat because it was necessary to teach you the real Jesus Christ, which is incredible, but it's like virtually none of the literate Christians know. They have zero connection to the truth.
We know how you feel, because when we first heard it, we were just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Wow. Right? It throws you for a loop, but then it's like, but it resonates so strongly inside of you, because there's just these mechanisms that go click, click, click. That makes so much sense. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And so everything is well planned out, I would say, largely by God, and it's absolutely perfect. Always with God, it's perfect. But there's a plan to all of this. And so
I just wanted to say something really quickly.
Sure.
You know, when you hear Einstein's theory, and he couldn't make them work between the macro and the micro worlds, and that's how it is with the Bible. When I first heard it, it's like, but there's so many things missing that just don't jive on so many levels, and it contradicts itself in some ways if you're literally taking it the way that they teach it to you in the churches.
God did not ask Abraham to take Isaac to the mount and then get him to a point where he put him upon the altar and asked him to pick up a rock and had him ready within a split second to smash Isaac's head open to
A
prove
loving
his
God.
love.
So you're just sitting there going, it doesn't jive with me. But you're asked to just go on faith and as the Cabal does, is just dumb you down so much that
Yeah.
you just go, oh, okay. I guess I just don't understand that, and it's above me or something.
Yeah. Next.
Right. And then the next one comes and you're just like, you're again told the same. In fact, I was Catholic for a little while. And the priest was upset with me because I just asked too many questions and I wasn't just taking it on faith. And I remember him coming into me and yeah, but it still didn't sit right, and I was not going to be bullied into believing something that wasn't true. So when I heard these things about, the truth of the Bible and the decoding of it, I was just like, wow. Completely fell into alignment with what God really is. And it's like, what a relief. My heart was just swelling with love, pouring forth because the truth was there.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that, call. And so again, when when we started to do the Bible decode, and Justin and I talked about it, and knew that we needed quickly to get some powerful truth out. There's no mistake why the two books that we chose out of all the books within the Bible, we chose Matthew and Revelation, because in my opinion they're by far the two most important books. Genesis is extremely important. Exodus is extremely. They're all very, very important. I mean, Psalms is just filled with ancient wisdom. So they're all important, but in terms of dire importance for right now, the Q plan, what's happening to us, where we're headed, those books are so important. So the book of Matthew tells you who Jesus Christ truly is. If you argue with that, that's in Christ's own words. So I mean, in his actions. So if you rail against that, that's your ego, and have at her. It's up to you.
Yeah, well, that's where, because I saw that series of comments too, and that's where, if you're not really paying attention and you're just hearing what you want to hear, because we've never claimed that this is our truth. We've never claimed ownership over the truth. This is the truth. This is the truth that Jesus laid. This is the truth that Buddha laid. This is the truth that Krishna laid. This is the truth that all of these wise sages, this one singular truth. And if we deviate from that, if we try and claim ownership and say, this is my truth and that's your truth, then that's where Satanism creeps in. That's that mini Satanism, where it's a slippery slope. It's moral relativism. It's where you can justify your actions to produce any to whatever ends. So you have to be careful about that, but I've never heard Charlie claim that this is his truth. I've never heard him say anything other than that this is the truth that we can all discover, we all should discover, and I'm going to proclaim it boldly because it is the truth. It is absolute, and it's not me taking ownership. This is just you can either accept that it is the truth or not and suffer the consequences.
And where do we get our confirmation that everything that we're teaching to you is the truth, and we share it so boldly and strongly, profoundly, that it is the truth? Because it's confirmed. See, and unless you do the work for yourself, then you don't know. Then it's convenient to just say, well, Charlie is an egomaniac and he just wants it his way, and he's smartest guy in the world or whatever. Every ancient culture confirms, and that's because we went to all the ancient cultures, and that's what we stunningly found, is that in different language they're all saying the exact same thing, different allegories, but they're all saying the exact same thing. And then you look at all of these ancient scriptures, which we've fallen in love with. I mean, people just think like Hinduism is Satanism or something like that. No, it's one of the purest forms of Christianity. Catholicism is Satanism. Sorry, but that's the truth. It is. These gospels are beautiful, but in many cases they have massively been suppressed. Some places not very often changed, because these people don't have the wisdom to be able to mince words with the geniuses that put these gospels together. But a lot of material has been taken out, and then of course most of the gospels have been suppressed. So because you're just talking about these penis, homosexual, penis loving, sycophants that are the cabal. So get over it. That's what the Catholic Church is. Just get over it. Anytime you hear Rome, it's just the cabal. So any version of that, they can put dresses on. Sometimes they've got armor and chariots and stuff. Whatever. It's the same group of people. It always has been, and we're dealing with them. But what this truth that we talk about, this is the one story. And again, if you spend any amount of time with us and you're still struggling with the fact that is this a one story or not, or is there a whole bunch of truths? Charlie, you can't just say that you've got you've cornered the market on the truth, and the rest of us have to come to your. It's not my way. It's not my way. So I'm going to just quickly show everyone something here. Colleen's the brilliant artist. You should see the concrete and cement tree she's making. It's just incredible. But here's what you're talking about. And so who's telling the truth? The people that are saying, Charlie, it looks like, you've just developed a big ego and stuff, and everybody's got their own truth. I've got my own truth. If everybody's got their own truth, that's this. And what does Jesus call this? He calls this the broad and spacious way. What does Jesus say about the broad and spacious way? The many will travel it, and it will lead to your destruction. Every single time, it'll lead to your destruction. It takes you to the precipice. And this is the road that the many take. And what do the many believe? Well, I got truth, you got truth. It's just, we all have our truth. Let's all get along. Jesus was just all about getting along. Like, you don't know Jesus Christ at all. Jesus was just such a loving, nice man. And he was just like, let's all get along. No. Do you not actually read the Bible? Seriously, do you actually not read the Bible? Because if you read the Bible, and that's why, again, we focused on Matthew and Revelation, is to show you that Jesus was a kick-ass ninja warrior. And that's the truth, because he was the truth. And that's why he's the light. And that's why he's the life. And that's why he is the way. And that's the only way to God is through Jesus Christ, because he is the truth. God is the creator. So what he created is the truth. What we teach is this. And this is why everything has been narrowing down in our presentations to you right now. In the future, we'll be able to talk about all sorts of things, but we're not talking about toothpaste. Somebody asked for that the other day, so I quickly put it up for them. But we're not talking about these things right now, because where we're at, everything has narrowed down. And right now, everyone, it is all about Jesus Christ. The truth about Jesus Christ, but then see Mary Magdalene, Lord and Lady Christ. We have so much to learn about what the truth is, because we wouldn't know it if it fell across us, because we've only ever been given lies. And as Justin so beautifully described the other night on one of our chats, Justin was just saying it all has to be a lie, because if they gave you anything that was the truth, you could climb out of the pit of hell. You could use that one strand to climb, to haul yourself out of that pit of despair, and they won't give it to you. So everything is a lie, and everything leads you to this narrative that I got a truth, you got a truth, and Jesus is a super nice guy. and that isn't the case at all. He was badass. He's badass. And what he did, what he allowed to be done, because he didn't have to allow them to do that. Jesus had enormous powers, but what was allowed to be done was for you. And the sad punchline to all of this, which, Mel Gibson really is driving the point home so well in The Passion of the Christ, is that he did it so that you would sin no more. You would see how much God loves you, and how much the Son of Man loves you, and how the Son of Man lived his life, which was to suffer the worst torturous death that any of us could ever imagine, because you are loved so much. And where does sin fit with that kind of love from the Father and from the Son of Man and from the Mother? Where does that fit? It doesn't. It doesn't at all. It doesn't fit at all. There is one story. There is one story, and that's why you see it in Hollywood and you hear it in these songs and you read it in these books. There's one story, and it's in the night sky. And the night sky is black for a reason, and it has white stars and a white moon because it's a chalkboard. That's why the original chalkboards in schools were black and white, because this is the starlight, which is truth, wisdom, from the sky being written on the black background of God's canvas. That's where it came from. And then quickly they changed it to green boards, and eventually white boards with black and red felt being drawn on it to inverse this truth and take you away from astrology. So there's one story, there's one truth, and Jesus Christ is the central theme of the night sky. You just need to know that. And so again, don't hate other cultures and these other religions. Hate the religion, but in terms of what Siddhartha Gautama experienced and taught as the Buddha is perfect truth. It's perfect truth. It's the one story. And precisely what Krishna, which means Christ, by the way, went through is identical to Jesus. What Horus in Egypt went through is identical to Jesus, because it's all based on what's happening in the night sky. Okay? And what happened, and then my mistake early on, many years ago, was to say, well, then all of these stories on the land are just bullshit because it's all completely allegorical. And where the light went on for me is when I came to realize that the Hermetic principle is everything. This is how God's creation works. It works through the Hermetic principle. As above, so below. As within, so without. As with the universe, so with the soul. It is a dualistic reality for us. And that is the building block, basic, elemental backdrop to God's creation. Okay? So if it's in the night sky, it happened here. Why? Because this one story created by the Creator, who's our Father, who art in heaven, our Father who created all of us, created that story. You don't think that rings true to us? You don't think that inspires? Colleen and I, Justin, Eugene, we feel so comfortable sharing these things, and we're passionate about sharing these things with you because we do them, because we're all in. We would never ever, there's lots of things that other channels talk about. Charlie Freak doesn't talk about any of these things because I don't have an opinion on them. I don't have an opinion on anything because that's me being an asshole, and I don't want to be an asshole. I want to be a kind man. I'll only speak to what I know. And that's all Eugene does. That's all Justin does. And that's all Colleen and I ever do, is we have these incredible conversations about what we know and what we don't. So people are asking about, and I apologize because I really don't know much about this woman, but the name was Kim Gogawin or
Kim Crosby.
Kim Possible?
Kim Possible, Kim Gogawin. She says that she was in charge of Nasara Jasara.
Oh,
does that ring a bell to some people? So there was a couple of questions asking about Kim, and I think her last name is like Gogyuen or something like that. Goygan, if that rings a bell to anyone. And it's like, so I just somebody asked, I did a quick check, and just recently she publicly went on a massive tirade saying that Donald Trump is evil. Donald Trump is works for the cabal. He's a shill. He's not a good guy. The Q team doesn't exist. She backed by.
There it is, Kim Goygan.
Kim Goygan. Thank you, Anna.
Goygan.
Thank you, Anna. And that her backed by aliens and maybe these Chinese groups that Charlie Ward talks about.
Dragons.
The dragons. There you go.
The red dragons.
The red dragons, blue dragons, green dragons, maybe that. But they've put her in charge because somehow she's the chosen one. And although she knew nothing about it, she's, really coming up to speed and stuff. It's like, hey, everyone is being forced to declare themselves right now. And what I want everyone to listen to and to know that we have to clean up the streets. And so this comes from the boss. This comes from the boss that we work for, which is God. And everyone who has knowingly, purposely lied to others, anyone who has purposely hurt others, anyone who has passed on information that has led to others being taken advantage of or hurt by others, you're going to pay the price. So this is that fire and brimstone stuff that you read about, but it's only to the wicked. So if you've been with Colleen and I, everything we've done is designed to get you to this point. Whether you still, like me or not is irrelevant, because it really doesn't matter. But if you are still here with us, we have led you on this journey so that you will be saved. You will be saved. Now, everyone eventually will. It's their choice in terms of when it is. But God doesn't save sinners. Jesus didn't die so that you could be a sinner. Who's the only one in the history of this world that would make up that lie? The Canaanites. The Canaanites, their god Baal is known as the deceiver who turns the truth upside down. Now that's the truth. That's who Baal is. They don't deny this. That's who they worship. And that's what he's famous for, is taking the truth, which is God's creation, and flipping it upside down.
Charlie, real quick.
Yeah.
I just want to say, because earlier you said nightmare, and then you were showing that road, because everything you're teaching is teaching the path within. It looks like it's converging into something rather than staying, just wide and like you can go anywhere. And you always hate the phrase when people say, this is my truth. And that's what this road is, that road that takes you nowhere. It's just a circle. And it's funny, again, that nightmare. So this is no truth, and this is a nightmare. And when do we wake up from a nightmare? When it's like when you're pushed to the limit, when you're about to die, or you know what I mean? Like right at that
point. You can't die in your dreams, right? You can't die in your dreams, so you wake up. You wake up.
Right at that precipice, suddenly you're like, this can't be true, and then you wake up. Right? So you actually confirm the fact that this was an illusion, and that I can't deal with this reality anymore, and then you wake up. So I think it was very interesting you used the word nightmare, because that's what Baal is.
Very good.
Yeah, absolutely the truth. Absolutely the truth. And so everything that we've been doing is purposeful. It doesn't come from my mind, but it comes from God, and we just follow. But it's just narrowing of the path. And so the reason this great focus upon Jesus is because it's real. It's real allegorically. It's real physically. And of course, it has to be, because this story is the greatest story ever, and it has inspired so many. So if you deny Zarathustra of the Zoroastrian sect in Persia, then you're denying that someone was so inspired by the Christ story that they didn't dedicate their life to becoming Christ. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. Why else would Jesus in the New Testament say to you that you will do greater things than I? If you're supposed to be a worthless sinner, you're not even worthy of Jesus, let alone are you not going to do greater things or better things than Jesus. So you're not supposed to sin. What did Jesus consistently teach to everyone? He gave forgiveness, but what did he always say? Now go forth and sin no more. Sin no more, because the only way to God is on the righteous path. So you've been told that you can be a worthless sinner all your life, but you're going to heaven when you die, and it's all great, and you get one kick at the can, and we're ruled over by the cabal, so you have no life, and the church doesn't care because don't worry about it because you're with us, then you're going to heaven. And as a kid, I was always like, yeah, but like Mahatma Gandhi, an incredible man, and he was a Hindu, and you can't make me believe that he's not going to heaven. Well, he is, and it's a shame. But you're right, he's quite a nice man. But he was fooled by the devil, and he believes in a satanic teaching that teaches the exact same thing that Jesus does. But it's satanical because it doesn't have the Roman Catholic stamp on it. And he is going to hell. And it was like, no, fuck you. You're a liar. And I don't align to liars. So that's why we just want to start to show and share that with you, that everything that we've been doing has been streamlining. The path is getting narrower and narrower and narrower, and that all of that we've been doing is to try and help so many to get to this point, because everyone here, you're going to be saved. You're going to be saved because you've cast it. You may not be perfect. We're not perfect in all of the work that needs to be done, but you're trying, and God loves a trier, and God is aware of the trier. So all of you are wearing the mark of the 144 because you're committed to this. You take this seriously, and you're committed to this, and you're trying. And when you try, remember these incredible books are showing us, like A Christmas Carol with Ebenezer Scrooge. It's never too late to start all over again. It never is. And even if you don't make it in this lifetime, what Santos teaches, what we teach, what ancient cultures have all taught is that you don't go back to the forgetful child who is a victim. You drop in.
What do you mean when you say saved?
Saved now. Saved now. So Book of Revelation, that's why we tackled it. And it's difficult because I would have liked to have done many more books before we tackled Revelation to prepare you for it. And that's why I chose Matthew, because Matthew is the only book that can help get you prepared to listen to Revelation, because Revelation is the most complex decoded thing that there is. There's nothing that is more complexly encoded than the book of Revelation. And it's also probably the most important document that probably has ever been created because of what's being said. And it's at a very high level. But what I'm saying is that we exist in a reality where you no longer have a choice. You fucked around with your free will, so that this is a cleansing period. This is a cleansing period to heal. And how you will be cleansed is entirely up to you. So there are no victims here. There's no I got the shitty end of the stick, or I got the short end of the stick here. No, you're going to get exactly what you've worked your ass off to deserve. All of the rewards from God are righteous. So you are righteously going to get your rewards. So if you've led a sinful life because you bought into the bullshit of the Catholic Church, God will forgive you, but it doesn't mean that what's coming in this cleansing changes. Whatever you have so richly worked so hard in your life to deserve, to earn, you're going to earn it. You're going to deserve it. You're going to righteously receive what you need to receive. And it won't be the end of you, because there is no end of you. One of the hugest lies that has ever been told, that you get one kick at the can and then it's over. That's ridiculous.
And those are the things that have been stolen from the Bible. Someone asked earlier, were there actually more books in the Bible, or were there meant to be more books in the Bible?
Oh yeah, well, there's a minimum of 777, but I believe that there's more. These are things that
they found under the Vatican in the tunnels, as we all knew that there was an immense amount of information and truths and documentation and all of these ancient scripts underneath the Vatican. We knew that. I mean, you didn't have to be told. You don't have to do a lot of research. You just knew that the Vatican was holding all of these things. And lo and behold, when they took it down, of course, what do they find? hundreds of miles of information under in the tunnels.
Yeah, over 50 miles is what we were told, and untold books that were in pristine condition. So it's very, very good news. It's very good news. And what it will paint is an entirely different picture. And then, like what we've been leading you to is this question, which is that when you are presented, when the truth is absolutely confirmed to you, what will you do then? That's all that matters. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter that you called me a name or anything else. It doesn't matter. That stuff doesn't matter. All that matters is that when it all, and it's very soon going to all be confirmed, if it hasn't been to you already, but very soon it will be confirmed. The question is then, because at that point, if you struggle with embracing the truth, then you know you're a full-blown Satanist. And Satanists righteously get their reward. And that's not termination ever. It just means that you'll have 1,000 years, and we don't know what 1,000 years is in terms to God. But you'll have 1,000 years in the burning lake. And,
But the good news is when you know better and you do better, the rewards are built in.
and the forgiveness is instant.
And Justin was going to say something.
Yeah, go ahead, Justin.
Well, just to kind of expand on that, I had a good conversation with someone in the JC family group chat the other day who was kind of being hard on themselves about, not being where they think they should be and knowing all the work that needs to be done, and just kind of, being really hard on themselves. And Charlie said it perfectly, and Colleen reiterates this all the time about how God loves a trier, and it's all about the intent of where we are and what direction we're heading. It's not about where we are on the path. It's about the direction that we're going. So, but even that is not to say that, because I also get a lot of questions about people, well, what if my family member got the jab, or what if they did this? Like, does that mean they're not going to be saved? Does that mean they're going to be lost forever? And it's like, no, everyone's going to be having a powerful opportunity to choose. And if you have not already chosen, like most of us that are here have already chosen. And so we've taken the path of lesser resistance and chosen ahead of time by acknowledging the truth and saying, I'm all in with God. And that means we don't have to go through as many sort of painful reminders that the choice needs to be made. But those others of our family members who have not chosen yet and have chosen to stay in ignorance, they're going to continually be presented with more and more very in your face choice markers, like catalyzing events that are going to say, you need to choose, you need to choose, you need to choose. And the longer that they don't choose and they continue to stay in that fear and continue to stay in that complacency, I don't want to hear la 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 la, it's going to get more and more painful. And eventually that time will expire. I don't know how long that will be. This could be years or however long it takes, but I do know that it will get continually more painful to not choose. So that's why it's so important to choose. When you know better, you do better. So if you can choose now, and most people will choose pretty quickly, because when and that's the whole aim of this movie, is to make the choice so in your face, so just powerfully slap you across the face to where you have no choice but to pay attention and make a choice. That is the Great Awakening. That is what we're here to do. That's why this movie is so intricate. That's why it's so meticulously planned out, so that when the penny drops, when all of this actually starts to happen, it's going to be this, like, you can't ignore it. There's no bypassing it, which just means that most people will make that choice very quickly. And I truly do feel that's going to happen. I think that when we see all of the wonders come out, all of these people come back from their alleged death, and abundance is revealed, and all of these wonderful things start to happen, along with the sort of painful revelations, there is going to be a clear God or Satan. Which one do you choose? You have to choose. There's no sitting on the sidelines. There's no complacency. So yeah, that should hopefully help alleviate any worries that people have about people being saved. It's a choice. I know good intentions. So it's going to be, as Q said, 4 to 6% are lost forever. There will be some who will not choose and or will consciously choose the darkness, and it's a righteous reward that they will continue to experience that darkness firsthand for a period of time, as long as it takes for them to relearn and realize that they are children of God and they do have to walk this path. Everyone eventually gets back to this point, but you get to choose how long it takes you to get there. You get to choose your adventure, choose where you're going to go. Are you going to fall even further? There's no limit. There's no depth. There's no limit to the depth. You get to fall as far and as far and as long as you like. But I know my choice, and I want to rise. I want to go back.
Yeah. Thank you, Justin, and you do, and Eugene does as well. But remember, there is at a certain point that there is a floor, to the killing floor. There is a bottom to the killing floor, and when you have exercised through hard work the last ounce of godliness within you, when you are nothing but a blot of black ink, when you are pure darkness, you will end. You will end and you will not come back. You will go to what is known as the void. Every single culture has talked about this, that there are unforgivable acts, and that you're just headed to the void. And this is the path that the Canaanites have created for themselves. Why do you think they make you? Why do you think they control all the key expressions? Why do you think they invented marketing? Why do you think they created advertising? Why do you think they created every single trend that's ever come along in the last 100 plus years? Because they need the bloodline of Abel through Seth to Abraham to Jesus Christ. They need them to think and act and dress and talk and be like the tube. Remember the movie Network? You mass maniacs, you people are the real thing. We're the phonies. You people are the real thing. But you dress like the tube. You dress like the tube. You act like the tube. You talk like the tube. You eat like the tube. You do whatever the tube tells you to do. And he says, and I don't know what the answer is. I just know you got to start off by saying, I have rights, goddammit, I'm a human being. I have rights, and I want you to go to the window right now, and I want you to scream, I'm not taking this anymore. I'm a human being, and I'm not taking this anymore. Self-respect. Self-respect. Jesus would have been in perfect alignment
and when
with that
we have
teaching.
that self-respect, when we know thyself, and we know who we are, and we know who God is, and we are connected, they cannot program us. They cannot.
Stole my words. You stole my words. I was going to say that, and also because you said go to the window, and what's the window, Charlie?
Third ventricle.
Yeah, it's the path, it's the light, it's the way. That the reason that there's a window is to let the light of the sun in. And again, so all of this is just a perfect allegory. Left brain, right brain. Left brain is darkness. It'll only lead you to darkness. And the right brain is Tiffany blue sky in heaven. It's light. And so
and you can't be fooled when you're in your right brain. You cannot be fooled because your eyes are wide open and your third eye is open. Yeah.
A show that we're going to be, Colleen and I are going to be doing in the coming days is a show going over, and you're going to write the stuff down and you can go back to it. But we're going to show you a host of TV shows, movies, books, albums, bands that you can absolutely trust upside, backwards, everywhere for you and your kids. And this is the single biggest thing that you need to do, because we're creature of habits. So you have to change your habits. And most of every single trend and the most popular this, that of all time has all been rigged. The game is rigged. The table is tilted. I'm redoing my George Carlin presentation with Carlin's, very famous comedic sketch that they hate you. They hate you and they want you dead. So I'm gonna post that in the next few days. It's
We
really
really
great.
hope that he was John Galted, hey?
I really do believe that Carlin was galted. Carlin and Negative 48 spoke to this the other night. Michael said that Georgie was sinking into despair because nobody was listening. Well, God's not angry at George Carlin for that. That's easy when you try so hard and no one's
Same
sort
with
of listening.
Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks was in the same boat, just
Yeah.
really frustrated at
Yeah.
how the lack of the masses were not getting
So
the truth.
So you give them a way that they can really make a difference, and that's on the John Galt team behind the scenes. And that's why so many, you know, I did Time in a Bottle the other day by Jim Croce. Have any of you looked into the plane crash and the circumstances and the autopsy of Jim Croce? I mean, it's a shit show. Every time you see shit show, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. So when you look at the things that Jim Croce and how passionately he loved God, you can see that he's someone that would say, if this is real and there's a way I can help, I'm in. Michael Jackson, I am prepared to give up being the king of pop, the king of rock and roll. And making these perfect albums. I'm prepared to give it all up, fake my death, let people think whatever they want to think about me, and I want to kick some cabal ass, right? And that's what he told you. That's what he told you. All his albums, songs, and tours were all based on I'm coming, and we're gonna kick your ass. And I would be like that too. I mean, they're incredible. And then the ones that stayed, like a Mel Gibson. You know, he's incredible. He's incredible because Mel took it on the nose and on the head never-endingly, because in the flesh, Mel has stood so profoundly for God. Mel Gibson's movies, beginning to end, are all safe for you and your children to watch. There are some scenes that are terrifying to look at, but that's the world that these monsters have created. There's nothing wrong with showing how disgusting and horrific the world is. But all
Charlie,
is done is tell.
It's like Lord of the Rings. I remember, like, even though my family has all fallen to the illusion and the endless, you know, abyss and void, I remember a few moments when we were watching Lord of the Rings, and it was like a true, like a biblical session, like a sermon that we were all so attentive to and that we could all relate to each other upon. And it was like this one, like, I don't know how to say it, this one silver lining, this one moment where there was one thing where we could see eye to eye, so to speak. And I don't know. And so I think even for young kids, like it teaches you, like I was always so scared of the orcs when I was younger, so scared of the bad guys. But I mean, like I always wanted to be Aragorn, and I always wanted to be like all the characters. So like Gandalf, and yeah, so I think it's great.
And the thing that's incredible about Justin is that Justin is a kick-ass warrior for God, and he's the worst enemy that these orcs have, but he does it all through love.
Justin or Eugene?
Eugene and Justin. Well, and Justin too. Eugene, Justin, you know, the names are
Interchangeable.
But the two of them, but they do it on the side of peace, not war. Sometimes we are called to take up a sword, but mostly the sword of God is truth, because that's the way. Jesus Christ was the way, and he was the truth. So but Eugene, so you've done it, right? You were, as a kid, frightened of the orcs. You're one of the biggest orc hunters there are in the world. Justin is one of the biggest orc hunters in the world. When you do shows like we did on the vampires, we just kicked ass. I'm so proud of us for doing that. Those shows are freaking amazing. Had to be on Rumble. YouTube would never put that stuff up. But that show that we did, and it links Adolf Hitler into all of this, is kick-ass truth. It's all the truth.
Yeah,
it's all the truth.
It's still up on my channel. I don't know how. Like I always said from the beginning.
It's on YouTube?
Yeah, it's still all on my YouTube channel. I always said from the beginning, like I didn't know how long this channel was gonna last. I held no reserved to it. I always expected it was going to go down, but
God
it's still
intervened.
it's still here, surprisingly.
That's awesome, Justin.
Wow. So what we're gonna do right now is I'm gonna get Eugene and Justin and Colleen to really talk about this. I'll segue in, and then they can finish it. But on the show, episode number 1 of the White Knights of Middle Earth roundtable discussion that we did yesterday, and that's with Aaron Dunbar and Sandra Maria, Justin, and Eugene, and of course Colleen. Incredible. That's the comments that we've had are just like over the top. That was just like pure genius. That was incredible. Well, the genius is Tolkien, Lewis, and it truly is. And we went into L. Frank Baum and The Wizard of Oz, which you need to get that book. It's one of the 10 best books. You need to get Atlas Shrugged. You need to get The Fountainhead. You need to get The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings. These are the most important books. Chronicles of Narnia by
Read
C.S.
them to your
Lewis.
kids, but they're just so good.
It's pure.
I'm reading them right now. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
So good.
Thoroughly enjoy them.
It's pure truth. Pure
Lore,
truth.
legend, and magic.
And L. Frank Baum's The Wizard of Oz is pure genius. It's purely good.
And we have to say, somebody just said they threw out all of their Harry Potter stuff, still questioning. But honestly, I'm sad that you did that, because while there can be a dark side to everything, and yes, the Cabal has used all of those things as a darkness, the Harry Potter series is talking about the alchemical process of the same thing that the Bible's talking about. So
Harry Potter is Jesus Christ. If
there is a beautiful, beautiful story inside of there, and it's and whether it was created by the White Hats or the Dark Hats,
they had to, because there's no way in the world that the Cabal would ever have allowed those movies to play out the way that they played out, and there's no way. So I don't know how, but again, this is all what happened on July 16, 1999. What happened? July 16, 1999.
There was
John
a plane
John
crash.
F. Kennedy's plane allegedly crashed. Now,
No, it crashed.
yeah,
but
he wasn't on
he
it.
wasn't on it.
He wasn't on board the plane. He didn't die. The Clintons can't outfox
The Invisible Man.
the Invisible Man. Can't outfox Jesus Christ. So I'm sorry, but it doesn't work that way. So the Jesus strand, they know what they're doing. They're good. But it was necessary. That's why Justin and I were showing for so long that John Kennedy was taunting the Cabal to take him out, begging the Cabal to try and take him out, because he needed to get underground, to go underground and to be able to do stuff. So when his plane went down, what then did we have? And you just go and you look at all the movies that truly mattered, and then they all came out. Matrix, and V for Vendetta, and of course in 2001, so Matrix 1999, and there's a couple others in 99 that were absolutely huge. I apologize for forgetting them in this moment. And then 2001.
And the churches do speak out about the Harry Potter books, but that's a good reason why you should really take a look at them.
That's right. If organized religion is speaking out against Harry Potter, it's because they're showing you in plain sight that Harry Potter is Jesus Christ, and he is.
And they call out the night sky, and say that it's Satanism to look at the night sky and
that's God's creation. No,
astrology.
I can't remember, Charlie. I don't think that's the truth.
And
I
yet,
think it was Job 32:38 or 38:32. It says, "Can you tell forth the Mazzaroth," which literally is the night sky, which is the zodiac. Because if you can't, it's Antisote says, if you can't tell that, what kind of a fool are you? Anyway,
Genesis, chapters 1 and 2, right up to 5 and 6, just are constantly speaking to the signs and the stars, and let them be signs, and then talking about the energies of constellations and the effect that they have on you. And are you awake to this stuff?
And I just want to quickly change it back to still questioning in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's very possible that I don't believe that this is the author. I don't believe she's the author. That what's her name again?
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling.
I don't believe that this housewife, the story we're being told about who wrote this book, I don't believe it at all. I think this is an alchemical story that probably came from from maybe a group of people, or it came from somewhere else, somebody much deeper than a.
Well,
and I'm not saying a housewife can't
exactly.
be deep,
It
because
isn't. It's not
I
that.
was a housewife
That's
too.
right.
But what I'm saying is that regardless, like, you burnt the books, that's wonderful. Now you burnt all of the horrible things that perhaps this author is supposedly having had done, as you're saying, was a known pedophile.
But
or a
but
child
what you did is that unknowingly, and so it's okay, but unknowingly you burnt a variation of the Bible, because they're telling the one story, and the books are incredible, and you can trust Colleen and I. We know this stuff inside and out. So there are no triggers and traps inside of those books anywhere, and neither are there in the movies. And that's the thing that's the most stunning, is the movie. So that's how you know the white hats. And of course it makes sense, because Lord of the Rings 2001, Harry Potter started the first one in 2001, and then you just see all of the stuff. V for Vendetta 2005. You just see the biggest, most important movies ever, 1999. As soon as JFK Jr.'s plane went down and he was now full-time undercover, then boom, boom, boom. These incredibly important comms came out and showed the way, led the way. Just incredible stuff. So Harry Potter, if you've been on the fence because you've heard so many things about it, trust us, sit down, download the 8 movies, because with the 7th book, they did 2 movies with it. So there turns out that there's 8 movies. Sit down and over 8 nights watch them, and you're going to be enlightened, because, and you know, the beautiful thing about Harry Potter is that they chose Harry for a specific reason, because Harry's like a hobbit. It's the smallest and the most innocuous of us can do the greatest things. They never once showed that Harry was special or better than anyone else in any way, did they? His mom was a Muggle born. So she didn't come from a pure magic family. She wasn't a pure blood. See what the message that's being shown there? And Voldemort wanted to slaughter all of the Muggles because they're not worthy. This is precisely Canaanites, and their whole plan. That's why God kicked Cain east of Eden, out of heaven, because his plan was so diabolical, so disgusting, that he wasn't worthy to stay. But Harry's approach is that Hermione is Muggle-born and she's the best in our class. So Harry's never saying he's the best. He's always acknowledging Hermione's best. Hermione desperately needs Harry because Harry's the right brain. Hermione, although she's brilliant, she's the left brain. And so it's
the Trinity, right?
So it's a profound message that's being sent, because the left brain, Hermione's showing you that the left brain in and of itself doesn't have to be evil, but it needs balance. It needs the balance. Harry is the balance that Hermione desperately needed. And Harry needed Hermione because, again, Harry's the pineal gland and he's melatonin.
And just real quick, and this is again the Trinity, right? And this is the Israel. And as Colleen and Jay Krishnamurti love to say, the thinking left's conscious mind needs to be put in its place. And then that's it. Because if it doesn't move out of its, prison cell, it's not going to drag you into it. And I totally forgot what I was going to say. Keep going.
Yeah, and the books don't, and the movies don't teach kids to disrespect their parents. It teaches kids to be sovereign. And if parents are morons and monsters, then you need to stand up. What does the Constitution mandate? It doesn't say that you just that you have the right to rebel against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. It says you have an obligation to do something about enemies, both foreign and domestic. So that applies to everyone, including our children, right? Shouldn't it? Or they get no rights. So it's teaching that nobody is above sin versus righteousness. And if parents are not righteous, then children have no reason to stay with their parents. They have no reason to remain loyal to their parents. No, they don't. Parents have to act. And if our kids were taught, and if we as righteous people taught our kids to hold us accountable to being righteous in every moment, then the world wouldn't have any problems.
There's a you know, the olden way that the parents used to teach children, it was like, respect me no matter what, and children should be seen and not heard. There's lots of dark sayings that were really, really, really not to the benefit of kind man at all. And the whole disrespectful thing is that parents could basically treat their children like slaves and have total no respect for their children, but expect respect back. That's not cool. That is not kind man at all.
Nope,
and
not
so
at all.
There are many, we were run by vampires. They were programming us, for God's sakes. There's no way that we should be using any of their programming any longer. And so we have to go back to square one, which is God's truth. And we take our lead from him, which is compassion, love, understanding, but we hold ourselves to the same virtues that we teach our children. And if we don't, like Charlie says, we should be held accountable for that. And our children, if our children say that, you know, are holding us accountable, then we should listen. We should listen.
Yeah, and Amy 333 just put up Harry Potter 164, the name of Christ 164, the Alpha and the Omega 164, the Divine Sophia 164, Angels in the Flesh 164, Queen of Dreams 164, the Enemy of Evil 164, the 5th of November 164. Remember. No, the 5th of November 164. Again, it doesn't matter what anyone else is telling you. I'm telling you, and I would never lead, Colleen and I would never lead you astray, neither would Justin, neither would Eugene. We're only telling you the truth. The Harry Potter books and movies. So if you've made, and it's okay, but do yourself a favor. Get those 8 Harry Potter movies, because the 7th book was done with 2 movies, so there's a total of 8 movies. And sit down over 8 nights with your kids, with family, with friends, and watch them and get prepared to be blown away. Because the alchemical truth of righteousness, always doing the right thing no matter what. And by the way, you know, they go on about Hogwarts. Why do you think it's called Hogwarts, warts and all? Did you ever, in any of the books, or in any of the movies, did you ever see anyone learn anything of value at Hogwarts? They talk about this great school, but you didn't actually see anyone really learning much of anything. Harry, Hermione, and Ron, which is pineal gland, pituitary gland, and hypothalamus, okay, they saved the world in every single show by themselves, because that's what we have to do. And there are 7 books, because there are 7 alchemical levels that you must climb. And when you complete the 7th crown journey, then you not only wear the armor of God. Harry wore the armor of God from day one. Why? Because Harry Potter was a kind kid. He was kind, even to that horrific family, his aunt that he was forced to live with. And Harry just constantly showed compassion to them. And it was the only time where it became dicey with Harry and that family. It was when the Horcrux, which was Voldemort, that was in Harry, which is the left brain ego, which is designed to be that way because we have to kill the beast within us, right? We have to do this work. We have to have this battle with Lord Voldemort within us. It was only then, when that was raging and flaring, that Harry used magic against them from time to time, and he was persecuted like the worst. Like, it was just brutal. Like, in the books, it's even worse than what you see in the movies, and what you see in the movies is horrific. That's torture. Harry experienced torture, and they made it clear. Even in the movies, they made it clear that they were torturing Harry Potter. And Harry never blamed them for it. He never ratted on them for it. Harry just tried to do better. Harry focused on his friends, on Dumbledore, on learning, on doing, and being kind. And that's what Harry did. And you know, in the very first movie, and they're just these cute, adorable little kids, but they have to save the world. And it's the perfect alchemical story of Jesus Christ. It is. And
Charlie, right here, I'll add it because I remembered. I was thinking of the word try, because when you try, it's 3. So when you make the connection of 3, you're a trier. And
Right.
funny, we get the word trial from that word because it's a trial. You've tried, but it's also your judgment because it's showing that you've made a case for yourself. And then even the word try all is trying with the Father. It's all there. And then I was going to add in the pituitary pineal and then optic elements, but you took it from me, Israel. And by the way, Colleen, I've experienced that with, the programming, the parents programming. I've witnessed that firsthand, but even with my friends, because since I would never bow to authority, and actually my dad kind of admired that. That's why he would always want to talk to me about his problems and stuff. Anyhow, I would go to like my friends and they were just brainwashed. And I'm like, why do you believe that? And they're like, oh, my parents told me it has to be this way. Whether it's relationships, whether it's like close guy friends, it was always this way. It's almost like they create this electric blockage and then nothing can get through. And I'm like, I'm trying to talk to you like level to level, like as a human here. And you're not even like, you're just like a wall. Like you don't have any light in your eyes. And why? Just because you're accepting programming. So yeah, I wanted to say that.
Fantastic, and thank you for saying that because it's so important. So with the J.K. Rowling stuff, throw it out the window. Just throw it out the window, and just trust that these 8 movies are showing you precisely how to raise how your kids need to be raised and who we truly are and this journey that we have to go on. And remember, Harry Potter was not special in any way. Hermione was brilliant, but she was lost without Harry Potter. And then people would always say, but what about Ron? Like, what did Ron bring to the group? Ron brought the calmness and the consistency and the no matter what, sort of in some ways Sam Gamgee. Which is that loyalty to both, which is the grounding. So believe it or not, because and it's funny because Hermione, the actor or actress that plays Hermione is probably a boy, and we should not hold that against any of these transvestites in Hollywood because this was determined when they were in the womb, and this is one of the reasons why the Q team, JFK Jr. Apparently having a relationship with Daryl Hannah. And seeing a lot of these good guys in Hollywood, people that have been undercover, having marriages with again these transvestites or Baphomets or whatever. It's because 1, they can be turned into really powerful evil entities, and 2, it's not their fault. It's not their fault at all. This is the evil cabal preying upon these children while they're still in the womb.
And they have a choice. They have a choice. When they know what's been done to them, they have a choice. And I'm sure that many of them have chosen the white side, the right side.
Absolutely.
I don't mean white as in, skin color, but
Well, yeah, and even just going back to this discussion around the choice, many who have committed the worst acts have been given an opportunity to choose the right path. And it's not to get them out of their this physical body's punishment, which for many who have committed the worst crimes, it is execution. But it is given an opportunity to right the ship so that they do not enter into this void that Charlie mentioned, because if they continue down this path, it's very clear that eventually you will work every ounce of God out of you and you will just disappear. So these souls are given an opportunity to say, hey, do you want to right the ship now? Do you want to play a part in this movie? Do you want to help out humanity and atone for your sins, or continue down towards the void? But yeah, just wanted to clarify that because it's It's important to note. Yeah.
And real quick here, I honestly believe that if you've been persecuted, if you've like felt a lot of pain in your life, like, and Aaron Gordon touched on this at one point too, that this whole the law of hermetics, it works so that like all the troubles and the tribulations and stuff that are caused in your life actually propel you. And I really think that like, yeah, so the level of persecution that you have received, it's equal to like the immensity of your awakening and your power. And
yeah, it's potential energy.
Exactly. And it ties in with Carl Jung too. It's like when you see like how horrible the enemy is, it just makes you detest them more. It makes you detest like that side within you more. So I mean, I don't know. It's just it's a great net. It's a mechanism that helps you screen out and filter out the crap much more quicker, because you've felt what the crap is and what it does. Because when you're Samwise Gamgee or when you're Ron, sometimes you're childlike and you're naive and you don't know. So you go experience and then you say, okay, now I know what evil is. Now I know what good is. And so you write the path. And that's what I think it is. It's like, yeah. So just because you've had pain or just because they've, supposedly fucked you up doesn't mean that you need to be fucked up. You can turn around and use that against them, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Well, take that perspective and look at the collective experience that we're all going through. We had to get to this level of depth in order to truly understand what this level of depravity is like. We needed this to springboard off of so that we could shoot off the bottom floor and make that powerful choice towards righteousness. It had to be this way, because if it didn't, it wouldn't. As simple as that. If we didn't need this level of reminder, if we didn't need to sink to this level of depravity, then we wouldn't. We would have chosen long ago and turned around. But we needed this much of a catalyst, this much of a rock bottom, so that we could shoot back up and come back rising. But yeah, it's the same sort of thing as you're describing for an individual. It's the same for the collective experience.
Yeah, and again, we do not believe that J.K. Rowling wrote this book. So, regardless of what her leanings are towards, I'm thinking she could be Black Hat, but yeah, we do not believe she wrote this story.
So, and again, at the end of the day, I mean, ultimately, who knows? But what we do know is that if you take the time to read or you take the time to watch, what you're seeing is clearly these are white hats. I guarantee you, we're not iffy about anything. I guarantee you, these are absolutely, and they needed to be because.
Now remember, the white hats also infiltrated. They also infiltrated the dark hats. So
yes, and folks, you just need to remember, when did these books come out? When did these movies come out? This is all the cusp of what's happening right now. So you need to understand this. 1999 is a critical year and will always be looked that way in our history. 1999 is a very, very key year. What movie, by the way, was released the same day that JFK Jr.'s plane went down? It was released that day. Stanley Kubrick's, anyone?
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut. Released on July 16th, 1999. You think that's a coincidence? Do you still believe in coincidences? God is never lazy too. Don't ever believe in coincidences. Everything is purposeful. From the enemy, from God, from the white hats, it's all purposeful. Everything is purposeful in this will because we're gifted free will. So from 1999 on, it was crunch time for this plan. And we couldn't lose these kids. What are the two biggest books that have, and therefore movies that have dominated our youth from 2000 onwards? What are you doing? From 2000 onwards, what are those two books? They are The Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Tolkien's Realm of Middle Earth, and the Harry Potter series. Okay? And I can guarantee you that those series somehow, some way were taken control of by the white hats. Every single one of those movies is so safe to watch. And then just think about this. In book 2, movie 2, which is The Chamber of Secrets, which is purely alchemical teaching story about Jesus Christ. It just is. It's beautiful. Everyone gave their all. Hermione gave her all. Ron gave his all. And Harry, and they're just completely willing to die. So to be able to get into the Chamber of Secrets, they had to play a hermetical game of chess. And Ron was a good chess player. And so this was a real life chessboard. And this is an allegory for the hermetic principle, as above, so below, as within, so without. And so it's playing out in real time. And so Ron takes charge because he knows that Harry's got the tough job, and he knows that Harry has to be able to do this. And of course, his sister is probably likely being held captive in the other room. So Ron
Sounds like Frodo.
Ron plays this game to perfection, and then what does Ron have to endure for Harry to move forward? And Harry didn't know what the outcome would be. Ron had to sacrifice himself. And what does the Bible teach? What does Jesus Christ?
That's allegory for.
What does Jesus Christ teach? What does Sun Tzu in The Art of War teach? What is the Q plan? What is everything about Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene? Self-sacrifice. And Ron made the ultimate self-sacrifice, which was this painful death. He didn't know any different. And he was so ready, willing, and able to do so. There's no Satanism in that. There's only God and Jesus Christ. And then Harry, Jesus Christ, goes forward, and he has to fight this giant snake. This is not fair at all, at all. And his only weapon is this little fang. It's insane, the odds that Harry was up against. He never complained once, and he just tried and tried and tried. And then Harry got cut, and the venom was inside, and Harry's going to die. But Harry didn't die because Guy Fawkes, the Phoenix, who's going to rise again on November 5th. Remember the 5th of November. And so Dumbledore's Phoenix is named Fawkes. I don't know the connection. I really don't. I'm just guessing here.
F-A-U-X?
Yeah, well, it's F-A-W-K-E-S. It's Guy Fawkes, and so it's the Phoenix that's risen again. And so why did Fawkes, who's Dumbledore's Phoenix, come to the Chamber of Secrets and do that to Harry? Because Dumbledore says that's a miracle, Harry, because Fawkes will only do this to someone who stands up for me against great evil. Oh my God, do you not see this? So Harry is in the tunnels underneath the ground, and there's Ron's sister, a young girl who's a prisoner of these serpents, these left-brain Canaanites, who are going to rape her and are going to drink her blood. And Harry goes into the tunnels, and he rescues children who have been trafficked. All right. I mean, the metaphor, the story is just in plain sight. And so Dumbledore is the representation of God on earth, right? And that's why Harry meets Dumbledore in heaven in
the Father.
The Father. And Professor, is any of this real, or is this all just happening inside my head? Of course it's happening all inside your head, Harry. Why should that not make it real? Well, Professor, because they've lied to me since they birthed me out of the shipping canals and turned me into a complete idiot.
These are Charlie's words, by the way.
You can't miss this inference that the regeneration of Harry Potter is because he was ready, willing, and able to give his life. Ron, ready, willing, and able to give his life. Hermione, ready, willing, and able to give. There's the Trinity. There's the Holy Trinity, and it can never be defeated. Every movie they won. Every movie they won because you can't defeat father, mother, child. You can't. You can't. That's why Nikola Tesla said 3, 6, and 9. You understand? Because
and so let's take back the triangle, the pyramid.
right, and as Eugene was enlightening us with, that a trier gets the Trinity. If you try, you're going to get the mother and father because they love you more than anything in the whole world, and all they want to be with you. So in the 8th movie, the most incredible thing, right? Like, again, anyone who's still wondering about Harry Potter, Harry goes into the Forbidden Forest, so that you get this, right? The Forbidden Forest would be the left side, the western side of the Garden of Eden, where God said, you really shouldn't go in here, and there's a tree, the duality, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You really shouldn't eat from that tree.
And at some point we'll tell you what we think that is.
And Harry, ready, willing, and able, goes in there. Why? Because Voldemort said, if you don't, I will kill every single one of your friends and your family, Harry. I'll destroy them. Harry says, I can't have this on my blood.
And have we heard that anywhere else? That's what the Cabal did, right? That's how they kept people in line.
It's
you do what I say,
right.
or I'm going to hurt the people you love.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Exactly right. So Harry walks a free will to his demise, to his death. And when he gets there, the whole thing about the Deathly Hallows, that's the Trinity, right? And that's everlasting life. There's 3 components that Harry had to have. And he opens the resurrection stone.
Okay, you shouldn't give this away.
Resurrection stone is your pineal gland. So this is a big deal.
Spoiler alert.
Harry opens the resurrection stone, and who appears? Who appears in front of him? His mom, his dad, and his godfather, and his great professor that risked his own life, gave his own life for Harry.
Divine, feminine, and masculine. And speaking of, when he's fighting that snake, you could also look at that as him like winning over the dragon, right? And this is the whole Ida and Pingala. And it's interesting how there are 7 Horcruxes too. So there are 7 vices that must be turned into the 7 virtues. You have to get on top. You have to overreign the 7 planets. And
7th Horcrux was the highest one, was the last one, and that was Voldemort. Actually, it turned out to be the order, the 6th, which actually makes a ton of sense too, because again, this is denial of the pineal gland, and then that gave Harry to wear the crown. And but anyways, Harry goes into the forest and he opens the resurrection stone, and his mother and father, his godfather, and the teacher who gave his life to teach Harry and to protect and save Harry are all there. And what's the first thing that Harry says? I never wanted any of you to die for me. This kid is walking to his death with the worst person that's ever existed, Lord Voldemort. And the first thing that comes out of Harry's mouth is I love you and I care for you, and are you guys all right? And I'm sorry because I never wanted any of you to die for me. And then Harry says, how long have you been here? And his mom says, always. We never left. We never left you, son. We would never leave you. And God and Mother Mary are the exact same way. They're just waiting for you. And all you have to do is to willingly walk into the Forbidden Forest and say, if it means that I'm going to get zapped to death, I don't care. I don't care, because I have to do what's right, and I want to go home to my mom and my dad, and they are within you. And when you are that selfless, when you overcome your fear of death out of trust in God and Mother Mary, then you've won the game, because you own everything. Donald Trump is the king of the world because he now owns everything. He took over the Federal Reserve Bank, which is the Vatican Bank.
Well, and what's he going to do with this?
Well, he owns everything now, so he's won, but he'll be kind.
And what will he do? He'll give it back to the people.
Yeah.
Wait, okay. And right before we get off that, so it's perfect because when Harry is not afraid to die, when he's walking straight into his crucifixion, just as Jesus was just, walking in that scene that you posted on one of the music videos, not afraid to die. You have to look at die as D-I. And that's why I brought up the Ida and Pingala, because it's the left and the right hemisphere. So it must be balanced. That's why when Harry Potter is the seventh unknown Horcrux, or is he the sixth? He's the seventh, right?
The way they played it out was that he turned out to be the sixth, but he was the seventh. He was the Horcrux that Lord Voldemort never, ever, ever meant to create.
But yeah, so exactly, and so it's a dying, yes, because it's the balancing. And then you said like the mother and father were just waiting for you to balance and find that you're the world. Like all you have to do is put the ego in line as in its place, as Colleen always says.
Yeah, and this lack of fear is not fearing death is wearing the armor of God. And
Yes.
truly, when you wear the armor of God, truly when you know no fear, then nothing can affect you. Nothing of the physical matters. It doesn't matter. And so therefore you are able to walk freely all places. And that's what Jesus taught. And that's what we're supposed to go through. We're supposed to go through this death and resurrection, this death of this worldly holdings, where my ego is keeping me rooted into this desire to preserve this body, this meat suit that I'm inhabiting, and that I fear everything that affects it. I fear everything that threatens this illusion. But as soon as you let go of that fear of that loss of this illusion and recognize that it is an illusion and that there is no separation and that you are always connected, you are always whole, then nothing can stop you. And so yeah, that is wearing that armor of God. So put it on every single day, because it's a new challenge each and every day. And our ego is always going to grow with us and always going to try and be tricking us to taking off that armor of God. It's going to be trying to deceive us into removing it, to letting those fears, those doubts creep back in. So the more that you can stand true to that and say, no, Satan, not today, then you continue to wear it and you continue to be unstoppable.
And who would have thought that Gandalf would have needed to work on his ego, right? If anybody's watched those movies, and like the fact that he had to battle his ego, which was the most fiercest of all creatures, the Balrog, of course, because he was such a high wizard. So his ego was matching his frequency. It was really, really sneaky and really, really high and really, really powerful, but he still had it. So he had to go down. He became, from Gandalf the Grey, he battled his ego, he came back out, and he was Gandalf the White.
And that's huge, because Grey is despair. Gandalf was falling into despair because for 2,000 years he went around everywhere in Middle-earth trying to awaken, and nobody was listening. He was preparing and nobody was listening. And the only person that was listening was this Son of Man, this hidden king in the wilderness that needed to be protected. So this bloodline of the new man, or ions, which by the way is just code for Jesus Christ. It's the Christed one. So a Numenorian is a Christed figure. And these are the Atlanteans. That's why in the book, the Numenorians were gifted the Isle of Numenor, new man, or gold, the golden island for the new man, which is the risen man, which is the Christ man. So that's what the Numenorians were. Aragorn is the last descendant, and the greatest secret that was being kept in Middle-earth was Aragorn's existence, because if Sauron had heard or knew of Aragorn's existence, he would have stopped at nothing to find Aragorn and to destroy him. So Gandalf is not only educating Jesus Christ, he's protecting his bloodline. So in this movie, that's why we said on the show yesterday, and then Justin brought up two incredible photos, because I said, how come no one's done a high-res image of Donald Trump as Gandalf? Because Donald Trump, Cyrus 45, is not only being the muscle and the enforcer of God's will on this earth and ushering in the Great Awakening, he has been all along protecting this Christic Christ bloodline. He has. John F. Kennedy Jr. is Aragorn. Donald Trump is Gandalf. That's why Gandalf was gray and fell and rose to become white. Donald Trump plays this role where he's married to these different women.
Comes from a military background.
And he's, involved in all of these different things, and he's kind of a loudmouth and stuff, and he kind of muddies the waters a little bit. And then the overall sort of viewpoint of Trump was that he was a megalomaniac. He was an egomaniac, out of control, and just so in love, so in love with himself. And but he was just playing a role because he was Gandalf the Grey. And then Trump went through this resurrection to become the Mastar. That's why he purposely was hosting The Apprentice, to show you that he was going through this crucifixion, this resurrection, to become white and pure. And that's precisely what he did and what he's done. And Trump has been, he was chosen by God. He was. This is not, I'm not making an allegorical statement. He was chosen by God to play this role, and he has done it to perfection. So Kim Goigowin or whomever or anybody else that is, and especially of late, if they've been calling out against Trump, they're being forced to. It's a movie. And one thing that I can absolutely share with you, and I guarantee this is true, and I said this earlier and I'll say it again, anyone who has harmed children, anyone who has gone against us in the form of lying, anyone who has betrayed us, who's passed on information to the cabal that has led to things that have worked against us, you're going to be taken to task. It's one of the reasons that this movie has gone on for as long as it has, is because, like Justin always likes to say, they have to smoke out all of the smaller minions, these ones that have been hiding, because we don't want to do this again. We don't want to go through this again. And so anybody, and that includes you guys, and I think a lot of people here, you still think that most of the people in this truth community, they might get some things wrong, but I think generally because again, that's our nature, to be sort of kind and trusting, but you're being sort of foolish and naive here. You think that most people in the truth community are here to help. They get some stuff wrong and whatever else and stuff. No, the truth community is riddled with snakes and serpents from the cabal, paid agents by the cabal. There are liars everywhere.
Think about it. If you are the evil side, what would you do if there was a goodly, godly movement coming along? You'd infiltrate it. That's what they've been doing since the beginning. So, of course, the truth community is infiltrated by many, many, many dark hats. And so they're very well hidden.
Yeah, and some are just in plain sight, but they're all going to be taken to task, and they're all going to have these little events.
The NSA has everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They do. They have it all. They have what's even. They don't even. The NSA not only knows what's on the other side of the wall, they know what's in the walls. They know where the kids have been buried. They know everyone who's participated in this and who's helped them to be able to pull the wool over our eyes and traffic children through Walmart. Remember the video that Colleen and I did showing you that Walmart was created as a front for child trafficking. Now think about that.
Doesn't that make you sick just to think about?
And Walmart, it's such a religious thing, right?
Yeah, it's just purely evil, and it became such a big thing. This is where evergreen shipping came into play, and the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation were the principal owners of evergreen shipping.
Which we will at some point soon. I think there will be some information coming out on that. Yeah. I'm very curious as to if Trump has been a military man since the beginning.
Yes.
Is it possible he's a general? Is it possible?
Why do you think he gets along so well with the military?
Is that why they're always around him? Because that's what he is?
Yeah, I think so. I think
His
that
father certainly was.
His father was, yeah. And who would have thought that, right? Until it was disclosed to us. We're just like, what? Patton, oh my, of course. And you look at them. They are
Hey, and
father, son.
by the way, in the documentary, the movie or film that I did about Adolf Hitler and the righteousness of Hitler's Germany, remember how I was telling you the horrific things that were being done to the Germans at the end of the war, when everything finally collapsed in and around them, and how the Americans have a lot of American soldiers have a lot of evil and shame on them, and they were literally being ordered to, just like the Russian troops were as well, they were being ordered. So this was coming direct from Eisenhower through certain commanders to be as immoral and vicious and violent to the Germans as possible, and the Americans were doing this with the French women as well. And what I can share with you, this is absolutely so. Patton became aware that suddenly this was becoming an issue as they were madly racing for Berlin. And remember, Patton was always trying to end the war as fast as possible. A reason? Patton kept getting in trouble with General Bradley, who was Ike's man, because Patton was leaving unfought divisions and armies on his flanks as he just steamrolled to get to Berlin. Ever wonder why? Because Patton was trying to end the war as fast as possible and cause as least harm to the Germans and the German people as possible. And when Patton found out and heard that there were troops that were doing these horrific things, that were looting, raping, pillaging as they went, here's what Patton ordered to every sub-commander in his army. Patton said, if I find out that even one of our soldiers has done it, I'll shoot the soldier and you, his commanding officer, with his pearl-handled revolver. And that's what Patton said. I will kill you if you partake in this. Who's George Patton? Who's Donald Trump? What code do they live by? Who chose them? What side are they on? You're still questioning this shit? Trump is good, strong, intelligent, righteous, more than you could ever know. He's played a role in a movie. Why? Because we became so stupid, this had to be a movie.
So here's a guy who doesn't drink coffee, he doesn't drink alcohol, he doesn't smoke.
Never had the jab.
And you look at someone with this large ego, you think he's got all the money in the world, and fame and fortune and influence, but he doesn't do any of those things, and he raised his children like that as well. I don't know what choices they've made since they've grown up, but it's just wow. When you really discover who this man is, wow. We're blessed.
Yep.
We're blessed.
Yep. That's who you're dealing with. And again, the video that we did with the vampire hunters, look at these people, and you can't argue with this because only certain people have done this. Look at the people who have attempted to attack Bolshevism. Look at the people who have attempted to eradicate the true vampires on this earth. And remember, that's what Reagan was all about, that we have to be all in. And if we have to go to war, Reagan was saying, I don't want to lose one young man or woman to war, but if we don't fight, then they're going to win, because they work through deceit, they work through infiltration, and we have to be on their doorstep exposing them with our light. That's what Reagan said. And then Reagan was shot in the first few months of his presidency. Who does that benefit? Who's the vice president? How did George Herbert Walker Bush who never won an election. They tried to run him for senator. He couldn't win it. All he was the head of the CIA. And when Bush was made head of the CIA under Richard Nixon, people were like, who's this fucking clown? How does he become the head of the CIA when he's an oil man from Houston, Texas? Because his father is Prescott Bush, and Prescott Bush is the money behind Richard Nixon's
all
campaign.
All he did was deny that he was involved in the CIA, and that's all they have to do. And then the media covers it up, and nobody ever investigates it, and so you don't know.
For sure.
So many people don't know.
Yeah. So you shoot Reagan, then George Herbert Walker Bush, who's never really won an election because Reagan won, his popularity won that 80 election. He hasn't done anything, and he becomes president. Same thing with Richard Nixon. And when they found out that Nixon found out what Kissinger was there for, and that everything that he was saying and doing was being listened to, and then that he was just a puppet for these monsters, and that these monsters are the ones who ostensibly killed John F. Kennedy in Dallas, then suddenly Nixon became paranoid, and they started to talk in code in the White House. And this is when Nixon created the Plumbers Union. And it wasn't to spy on the Democrats. It wasn't to spy on the Democrats to learn their campaign secrets for the 72 election. Nixon knew he was going to win in a landslide anyways. So what he was doing was breaking into the Watergate building where the Democrats are, because that's where all of these evil documentation, this is where all of this information about the cabal was being kept with the Democrats, right? So this is what you see. So every time you see someone who's going against communism, civil war with Abraham Lincoln, the North against the South, this is fighting against the same Bolsheviks who were bloodletters, who were blood drinkers, who were the Canaanites, who were vampires. And this is what you see. And it leads directly to Henry Ford. Henry Ford leads directly to Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler leads directly to Joe Kennedy. And Joe Kennedy is the father of JFK and RFK, or ostensibly the father of JFK, but the pseudo-father of JFK, father of RFK, and it leads directly to then Donald Trump. There you go. And you can't argue with that. You can't argue with that. Nobody else has done jack shit. Everybody else is capitulated.
Now, a lot of people are saying that Trump has done all of these things. He's eaten McDonald's. He does all sorts of things. But remember the art of war. Mm-hmm. And is he a meat eater? You know what? We don't know. And will we know? Maybe not till the disclosure. But they've had to live a role. They've had to. But trust me, they know the truth. They know the truth.
And if Trump is a meat eater, or if his sons hunts and eat meat, or any of that, then they will suffer the same consequences that any of us do if we choose to go down this path. And it's not going to you're not above that, so it's still wrong to do so. But we can certainly understand and appreciate that there has to be a perspective play. There are layers to this movie that have to go out a certain way. The whole I mean, you can decode Charlie, you had a great post on the McDonald's when he had all those McDonald's boxes in front for the Olympics, and what that truly meant. And it was a comm to illustrate that that whole line was dealt with, as far as like how they were putting human body parts into this line and whatever else. I don't think he actually fed that.
Not partaking of any of that.
No. And just the way,
candlesticks missing, lights off. I mean, the symbology everywhere was that these people who do this were taken care of, and they were taken care of first. Okay, that's what we have to do. So if you're some of these truthers that are like, Charlie, well, I think like maybe you're telling the truth, but I can't stick with you because this is just taking forever. What an asshole! What an asshole! All of this time has been first sent rescuing our children, and they're in tunnels, deep underground military bases that are everywhere. We find out that Australia is essentially a spider's web of tunnels, and that everything in the center of Europe is a spider web of tunnels, and everything is leading out to the Antarctic ice wall. And you're like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Yeah, you know, Trump's an asshole. And it's like, wow, you're just so lost. You are just so lost if you find yourself in that company. So I'll say this again. Colleen and I absolutely love Donald J. Trump. We absolutely are 100% in with Donald J. Trump. We've never, since we awakened to all this, we've never, ever, ever once been against Donald J. Trump. And we know the kind of man that Donald J. Trump is. We know what he's accomplished, and he's a real hero. General Patton was a real hero. The shit that you know of these people is just effing lies, because that's what our history is. It's an effing lie. It's a travesty. And so when you hear stuff like of this Jesus strand, and there's so many that don't want to believe this. There are people asking in the chat tonight, is can Charlie tell us if -48 Michael Brian Protzman is a good guy or not? What the hell's wrong with you? The hell's Michael comes out after all this shit's going on, and then in the middle of this shitstorm comes out, and what does he do? Simple gematria, which is God's gematria, which just ties into everything that Colleen and I have been teaching you, with you know, the sigils, and that it's the hieroglyphics of the English language, and it's all numerology and symbology. And then what does Michael do? He shows you that all of this is God's creation, and it's all beautiful, and that everything is coding everything else, and that's all he's done. And he's just constantly showed you, proven to anyone who wants to listen, that God is real, he's in charge, he created everything, they pervert everything, and that every time they do something, we got them, because it's our symbology and numerology and numbers, and it's all good. When they use it for evil, they stand out like a sore thumb, and they're in deep shit, because they leave footprints and fingerprints everywhere they go, because they attempt to take God's perfect creation and use it for evil, and we got them. And we got them on everything.
Go ahead, Justin.
Well, and I was just going to say, Michael does all of this, and he charges a low price of $19.95 a month for all that he does. So it's a bargain. No, I'm kidding. He does all of this for free, and that he doesn't advertise anything. He doesn't sell anything. He doesn't even take donations. He said he doesn't want anything. He does all of this selflessly, and that in and of itself is a huge indicator where someone is aligned morally. And if you, yeah,
Sorry.
oh, go ahead. Yeah, that was it.
And his voice is that of JFK Jr.
Is there a reason?
I'm not saying that it is absolutely JFK Jr., but he's got a voice modulator, or he's related.
Well, he was chosen in some way or another, whether by the White Hats and the Q team, whether by family members, or just by God himself, to bring this man with this voice, with this level of insider information to
exactly the
be put
information
there.
that he has.
So
Wow.
why did he come late in the game? Because we have the attention spans of gnats. So this has to be done right at the end of the game. And why does he sound like JFK Jr.? It's not just the voice. It's like I said the first time that I spoke with him. It's everything. It's I know JFK Jr. So it's all the mannerisms. It's the pauses. It's exact. So the reason is because it's helping us psychologically cope with the return of JFK Jr. And now. And also, why is Michael doing 10 shows every single day, never takes a day off, and he's doing 10 shows every single day? Is to overwhelm you, one, with this truth about gematria and the symbology of our numerology, and that God has encoded the truth in everything, and that God is real, God is in charge. And then when you look at the numbers, it tells you that Jesus Christ is real, that Jesus Christ is the Son of Man. And like I taught on the show, with the Divine Masculine show, on the Sacred Blue Tent show the other night, that everyone else was trying to go, well, we could take a pill, or maybe we need to get some jobs or something like this. And I'm just sitting there and just going, oh my God, when is it my turn to speak? And then it's like, how do you not get this? Jesus is perfect because he was all in with God. That's why, because he was a trier. And he came first for a reason. He shows us the way. And that's all you have to do, is have the courage to step in his shoes like he asked you to do, and sin no more. Step in his shoes, seek God, which is through selflessness, helping others along your journey, along your way, and then you become a Christ-like figure. We have no problems in this world. We have no problems in this world. It is that simple. It really is that simple. So Jesus is back. Jesus is real. This bloodline is real. And what Colleen, having this come to Colleen, clearly is from God, where Colleen is going, oh my God, I get this, that when we do the work, this work, which is the truth, which is the way, which is the light, becomes encoded in our blood. It's essentially the essence of our blood, which is this light or darkness.
It's indelibly stamped into our Akashic records. We live this. It becomes part of our DNA. It becomes part of our cells. It's the information. It's the crystalline truth that we live. It's God code. God code inside of us. When we live God's word, we live his code.
Exactly.
We become God's code.
Exactly. And so what is the significance of this Jesus strand, and the fact that there are descendants alive of this Joshua, Jeheshua, Joshua 74, Jeheshua 77, Joshua 74, Jesus 74, Jeheshua 77, Christ 77, Joshua, Jeheshua, Mary Magdalene. I don't like to use Yeshua 79, and Yeshua's Hebrew, and the Hebrews are the ones that murdered Jesus and denied Jesus as being anything but just a man, and didn't do the work and didn't rise into heaven at the right hand side of God. But everybody wants to call him Yeshua because that's what the spiritual community teaches, which is funded by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. But whatever, you have at her. So why is it important that this bloodline? Because they're going to show us the way, because it's encoded in their blood. That's why this bloodline is important. And
that's why they could do what they did. And that's why they were where they were, because they had that beautiful bloodline and they had to be protected. So know how go ahead.
Well, finish your thought. I'll go.
I was just going to say, so earlier I wanted to interject this. The dark hats, the cabal, the Canaanites have been infiltrating since the beginning, and they've infiltrated every system we have, and they've infiltrated our minds. The white hats have also been infiltrating since the beginning, because they needed to gather enough information. Right. They needed to know their enemy, and then they needed to infiltrate, and they needed to do, and they have been, and it's a brilliant plan. And they knew that to take this down, they needed to be very patient. And they needed to do these key things before they could, because this isn't just about taking evil down for 1 or 2 days or taking evil down. This is about eradicating and vanquishing the demons. Yeah. So this had to be done strategically. So it had to be done militarily. This is the art of war. Yeah. So this is it just gives me goosebumps thinking about it, and how lucky we are to be alive at this time. And not just lucky, but we're a part of this plan, because we need to be there as warriors for this plan.
Now, I didn't say this. I could have, but I didn't say this on the Takedown of the Cabal videos. But who clearly was with Trump on all those stops and destinations? And what we talked so much about we have it all. The NSA has it all. Here it is. Are you going to work with us, or you're not going to work with us? Are you going to capitulate, or you're not going to capitulate? Okay, that's all true and that's all real. But remember, there's a lot of people, good people everywhere, and there's a lot of good people in Saudi Arabia that wanted no part of what Dickweed Alwaleed was doing.
Barry Soetoro's handler.
And we're prepared to pay any price to eradicate this kind of horrific karma out of the kingdom of the Saudis. They didn't want this at all. So who was with them? JFK and JFK Jr. And this is how so many have just flipped and changed overnight and have said, you know, how do you win Jim Carrey over? You say, I am the descendant of Jesus Christ, and I know what they've done to you, my child, but what you've done is wrong. It is deserved of death, and I'll be there with you, but you can make a difference in this world, and that's going to make a difference in your life. My Father will absolutely know what it is that you've done, and you're going to resurrect yourself, and I will be there for you, and I will be there for your family. This is how they have swung so many people over to being full out with helping Trump and being part of this plan and willing to play these roles and do everything that they've done, because behind Trump was this hidden factor that has been hidden. Why? Because the cabal, more than anything else, has been seeking out the bloodline of Jeheshua and Mary Magdalene and has wanted to eradicate it. It's in every freaking movie, and they show it again and again and again and again. And so this is better. That's why Colleen and I have been saying to you all along, but not really able to say more, is that this is bigger and better than you can possibly know, because there is an aspect to this that many still, if I told you now, many still won't fully even realize. But there is a metaphysical aspect to this that is going to make the physicality of this even better. And you may not truly understand that right now, but you will. So many people think this is only just about Nasara Jasara. What I predict is that within a few years, people won't even care about money. And when you ask kids when they're young, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be like Jesus Christ. I want to be like Mary Magdalene. I want to please God. That's what all I ever wanted to do. Nobody told me the way. Nobody showed me the way. Read the Bible. Nobody told me how to read the Bible. I was lost.
Maybe instead of Halloween, we'll have a Trump party. And everybody just dresses up in Trump masks.
Yeah, well, and that's why we have these powerful, powerful examples like JFK, like Jesus Christ, that are coming to show us the physical manifestation of this process that we all can go through, that we all need to go through. This raising of the chrism oil, this shining your Christed light, this going through this death and resurrection. This is, they are showing the way, but it's not to limit or restrict to a particular bloodline and say these are the only ones that can do it and we just have to worship them. No, it's for you to say, look what they can do, and we can do that too. And the more of us that get on this path, that the more we all align to it, and we all get to start encoding this beautiful truth into our DNA, into our blood, and we get to become part of this bloodline. It's an all-inclusive, but you have to be all in. You have to be all in, all the way to the right, and that's the only way in. You have to pay that 10% tithing. You have to be all in, but it is not restricted by any means whatsoever. It's just a choice, and we get to choose. And so these beautiful, beautiful souls are here to say, hey, I know you've suffered for so long. I know it's felt like you can't really choose this, but you can. And I'm going to show you what it's like. I'm going to show you the magic that rests within you and what you can activate that. Wow, how amazing. How amazing.
How amazing is that going to be? That's right.
And I can absolutely guarantee all of you that if you want to connect to God, Obviously, it is through virtue. It's the number one thing that I've taught. When I did the 2-hour first meditation video, the bigger one that was 2 hours long, the first hour and a half was on virtue, that you need to become virtuous. And then the last part was on various techniques. But everything in your life comes into alignment when you align yourself to God, and that is go forth and sin no more. I don't know
And what does
how
Tolkien
else.
say a sin is?
And what we talked about this on our first show, so you really need to watch it. Of the White Knights of the Round Table of Middle Earth, and we talked about that. And Professor Tolkien said, really, the only sin that exists is despair, because you're saying without a doubt that you know what's coming tomorrow, and you don't know. You don't know. And the moment that you despair, all of these people in the truth community that have been selling despair, there is a price that they're going to pay, because they know better. They know better, and they're being paid to do it. And look at anyone who has attacked Colleen and I for selling hopium. It's like, are you really that stupid?
For free, by the way.
We don't sell it. We give it away for free, and it's the answer, because faith leads to hope. Hope leads to knowingness and trusting in God, and that is the answer.
And that's where manifestation and creation comes from, the knowing part.
It does, and the only way you can know to be all in with God, to wear the armor of God, it all just means trust. Do you guys remember 3 years ago?
T for trust.
T for Trump, T for Trump. Do you remember 3 years ago I was doing these 3 T's, and I was saying that, and remember how I was always teaching the song by the band, which is the most iconic song of the 60s, right? Which is, take the load off Fanny and put the load right on me. On me is God. Take the load off of the physical self and put the weight of this world upon God's shoulders. So in the song, it's telling you for Atlas to shrug. That's what the weight is saying. Atlas has to shrug, and then you hand it to God. So when I was doing that song, and I kept going over it show after show after show, and I was always teaching these three T's, and that the shoulders of God are the truss. That's what a truss is. It's the shoulders that hold the weight of the world, which is where the Atlas bone is. So it's truss, Truss. Okay? And when you take the load off of you and put it on to God's shoulders, which is the truss, you get the truth. Because God, you connect to God, and God is the truth. So the first thing you do...
H is the breath of God. So you put that at the end of the word.
That's right. And all of that comes by trust. Trust, truth, trust.
And truth is love in the physical. Love is truth.
And essentially,
love is God.
They're all the same word. They're all the same word, and they all lead to the same outcome.
Love without truth is not love. Just want to clarify that and make that very much out there. If you're trying to be nice and just love someone, but you're not going to be truthful to them, then you don't love them at all. You actually are doing the opposite of love. So really want to drive that point home.
That's going to take us some time to get to that place where we're completely honest and transparent with each other, because we've been wearing masks for so long. Not just the 2 years that we've been wearing them for COVID, but we've been wearing masks for a very long time. And how ironic that at the end of all of this, we put on the anonymous mask and we take them all down.
Yeah, maybe Halloween we take off our masks.
And real quick, I just wanted to say before I go out and plant these seeds, with truth, it's interesting because truth has everything. There's an intelligence to it. Everything is, again, we're talking about putting things in the right place. There's a certain method, well, not a method, but there's a certain kind of value to it, what you're doing, right? In every step of the way. There's a certain kind of care to it. Like you're always looking out for things, and you're conscious, you're sensitive. You're not just blatantly like bludgeoning everything and just, you know what I mean? You're not carrying like for instance, your body, you respect it. So it's a very subtle thing, and you're soft with it. And I mean, I'm very quick, but I'm still conscious of it. You know what I mean? I might be a little bit clumsy, but I'm still like thinking and reflecting and trying to digest what I'm doing. And again, there's a level of compassion, and in the word compassion, I see compass. There's a sense of direction.
Moral compass.
No, exactly. And in this thing, there's love, because the act itself is love. When you're acting in truth, when you're acting in intelligence, when you're acting in care, it comes from a place of love. And because it comes from a place of love, it's whole. Because love backwards is evolution. And so it's a holistic, it's a hallowed be thy name, halo, you know what I mean? It's a divine interception. It's a completeness. That's what I wanted to add before I dip back out real quick.
Thank you. As usual, Eugene, just brilliant. And Justin, by the way, just before that, thank you, Justin. That was gorgeous. Everything that you're saying. And this is why you need to look at these words. So Eugene I was actually just a few days ago was writing that in the book that's coming out about all of this, the language. But compassion is the compass eye on. So compassion, to have compassion, you have to have a moral compass. So that means that you must be virtuous, and that triggers the single eye on. And that's what this is all about.
And we love the truth in plain sight when it's written in our words. That's just, well, it's awesome.
Yeah. And so let's take a look at the word Halloween. So remember, our goal is not to become holy. They've tricked us with this. Holy simply means full of holes, like Swiss cheese, and you do not want to be Swiss cheese, and you do not want to be full of holes. You want to be solid for God, because one who's solid wears the armor of God, because you're all in with God. If you're full of holes, you're full of doubt. And if you're doubt, you're going to despair. And if you're despairing, you're a Satanist. Whether you think that, but that can't be true because I'm saying I don't know anything. That's what a Satanist is. And that's what Satan devours, is he who thinks that they're useless, hopeless victim that doesn't know anything.
And the last thing you want to be when you're a ship is holy.
That's right, exactly, because your ship will sink. And if you sink far enough, you'll start eating kids. I guarantee it. Who knows how long it takes, but you will. It always leads to Cain murdering and eating Abel. It always does. So it's a slippery slope. That's where these ancient sayings of old come in, and they're always right. So Halloween, hallow is what you need to adhere to. You don't want to be holy. You don't want to be a holy man. You want to be a haloed man. A hallowed man is a haloed man,
the golden orb,
which is wearing the crown of Christ, who's the King of Jerusalem. And Jerusalem.
Okay, wait. Before you do that, meaning the crown, the golden crown. So when you turn on your pineal gland, you become magnetic. It's that beautiful magnetic frequency, this aura that comes about. That's exactly what they were talking about. That's exactly what you see when you see Jesus Christ in all these pictures, or anybody who's right, depicted as a holy or an enlightened.
Justin, just really quickly with this, and jump right in. But this is just really, really important. When you look at those images of Jesus, and they kind of make it look like the sun in the sky, it isn't the sun in the sky. It is the pineal gland, the sun within you, the optic thalamus. And again, it's really not the pineal gland. The pineal gland is the portal that allows the 13th cranial nerve, which is your optic thalamus, which in every culture calls the light of the world, Jesus Christ. And that's what you have to become. And that's the symbology of seeing Jesus with a crown of sun, because he is the 13th cranial nerve. Justin, what's Jesus's number?
33.
33 and 13.
13, yeah.
He's the one surrounded by the 12. And so Jesus is the 13th cranial nerve. We have to become the 13th. Why do you think you have it? Why do you think it's already built for you? What do you think 1 Kings in the Old Testament is about? It's telling you, it's describing your brain in perfect description. Well, go ahead, Justin.
Just quick. Go ahead. Yep, go.
Well, just wanted to tack on to what Colleen was saying about magnetism and having this halo, you see it very powerfully in the Bible where it talks of Jesus, but it works for us as well. But with Jesus, it attracted those who needed him, who called, who sought him, and it brought in those who needed healing, who were ready to be healed. But it also repelled away any of those demons, and these aren't aliens or anything like that. These are people who are so consumed by their ego that they could not be in his presence whatsoever, and so they were repelled away. He could cast out these demons. But this is what this magnetism does, and this is what we can all activate. So you'll notice the more that you step into alignment, you're going to repel those in your life that do not serve you, those who cannot stand to see you walking in your light and walking in the truth. They will fall away, but you will at the same time attract those who are ready for that, who are ready to help spur you on and get you to grow. And the more you step into that magnetism, it just increases and increases. And it's so it's good to notice, it's good to note, so we don't, again, don't get attached to particular things, because the more alignment we get, the more everything's going to fall into place exactly as it should, and what will fall away should, and what will come to you should as well. So just wanted
Right?
to add
Like
that.
look at a magnet. It attracts really strongly and it repulses very strongly. So anything that isn't of the right frequency, if you're trying to, reverse a magnet together, you can't get them together. But you flip it, whoop. So that's the whole idea of what magnetism does. So, and it's also God's protection when there's a repulsion, because it means it's not supposed to be with you. So the frequencies are not right.
So what do you think? What do you think the crown chakra is? Mr. Hypobaric in the chat just wrote this as well, and he was saying it's the 7th magnetic chakra. You bet. You better believe, and it gets triggered by the 6th chakra, ajna, turning on, and then you wear the crown, and that crown is what we call like purple rain. And that is a magnetic field. It is a magnetic field, and this is, that's what I said earlier in the show. This is wearing the ultimate armor of God, because now you've got protection for the head as well. So you've got the headwear, and that is wearing the crown, and that is a magnetic crown, which means it lets in what is required and it repulses what is not required, and there is no effort required, there is no thought needed. It's an automatic process, and
those are the beautiful rewards that are built into the work.
This is
when we become
exactly.
magnetic, all of those things will happen automatically.
And we can only teach you so much at a certain point in time. That's why I always say to you, there's so much more to reveal. But when more are ready for more of this. But this is precisely what Colleen just said, is letting the cat out of the bag a little bit here. But this is precisely
Never put your cat in the bag.
What we're talking about. And that is that these rewards are the magic. See, again, once you get rid of facts, figures, and logic, you get lore, legends, and magic. And the lore, legends, and magic isn't voodoo, isn't witchcraft, and stuff. It's you. You are a magician. Oh, but Charlie, don't say that word because it's evil, and what?
We're gonna flip that on its ass.
Magic, magi, make America great again. Why do you know why? And then the tribe that the 3 kings out of the east who knew Jesus was Christ our Lord, they knew this wasn't an imposter. They knew, because they're the magi of the tribe of Zoroaster from Persia, and they were the magicians. I mean, and then it's magnetism, and it's Mary, and it's the letter M, which is 13 to 26, which is the middle way. I mean, come on. They've just brainwashed you to be fearful of everything that's good and to trust in everything that's bad. So you just got to flip it upside down. So that's why it was great that we talked about Harry Potter tonight. It's wonderful, because you need to surround yourself with Harry Potter. One of the shows that Colleen and I have recently connected back with, and he's just, and I don't think for a second that he's dead. I would imagine that he's still alive, and for sure he was John Galta, because his cancer thing was just came on so fast and he was gone so fast. It was ridiculous. is Michael Landon. Michael Landon, everything he has ever done is just God-driven.
You remember Little House on the Prairie?
Well, even in Bonanza.
Bonanza, oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
Little
right?
Joe in Bonanza. I mean,
Beautiful,
he was
beautiful
just
soul.
he was just a white light. And then Little House on the Prairie. Do you know how many families that saved? Do you know how many kids that kept on the right
I grew
side?
up on it. My daughter grew up on it. Thank goodness for reruns.
It is absolute divine purity, and that tells you that the white hats have always had a presence.
What show are we talking about?
In Hollywood. But it leads us to what we've connected recently with, which is Highway to Heaven. I've been kind of saving this. One, because when I talk about it, I always cry. and I don't want to do that. But there is no greater show in my estimation ever than Michael Landon's. And he was the producer of it. He wrote a lot of the episodes. He directed a lot of the episodes. He was the actor of it.
What's the name of his production company?
Yeah, it's
Film Rise.
Film Rise.
What was the name of the show again?
Highway to Heaven.
To Heaven. Please put it on.
Yeah, well, listen.
Okay.
I can't believe it. You talk about white hats are in control. There's a channel on YouTube that has every single episode, and it's called Highway to Heaven Full Episodes. And that's the name of the channel, Highway to Heaven Full Episodes. If you just type in on YouTube Highway to Heaven, you'll see it. How does that not get taken down? If Colleen and I put a 15-second clip, we would be in handcuffs, and there would be 50 assassins to shoot us and kill us if we tried to put a 15-second clip. But there's an entire channel.
I just put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you. So Highway to Heaven is Michael Landon, who comes back to Earth as an angel for God, and he gets a helper in Victor French, and this show, one of the biggest things you're going to have to learn how to do is to control your crying, because in the first week of watching it, you're just gonna be crying nonstop.
And when we first watched it years ago, I was always blubbering.
Yeah,
it's so good. It just touches your heart. It goes right to your heart. And it's the right thing.
Yeah, it's pure truth, it's pure beauty. So what Michael Landon does is he goes to help people who are trying. Do you see? And he's not making judgments because they've made mistakes and stuff, but they're all in a position where they're trying. And then he does his best with what God allows him to do, provides him to do, and what he's always doing is teaching them to do the right thing and to be strong, and that you have to stand up for your sovereignty. That sovereignty is something that has to be earned. You have to earn it. You have to fight for your sovereignty. And we just watched one of the episodes actually it was the pilot episode, and it was helping the elderly. And I don't want to give anything away. But it's you'll see how they became powerfully strong, and they were just helpless and weak, and everything and everyone was against them, because what we do to our elderly is disgusting. It's just disgusting. Putting them in homes is just ridiculous. You exist to serve that what is righteous, and those that have helped to raise you and who have loved you, and you kick them out. The cabal told you to do that. Stop. You know the right thing to do is have them in your home, and then you'll get better, because their wisdom and their beauty and their love is gifting you in every single moment. So we've just got it all upside down. But Highway to Heaven is as good a show has ever been created, and there's just nothing more important. It will teach your children to be on the right hand side of things by serving others. The greatest thing that we can do is exist to help God, to help Jesus Christ, by helping their kingdom, by serving others righteously. We just need to do the right thing, folks, and it isn't hard. It isn't hard. And that's why I say within about 4 years, I predict that we won't even care about all this money that we now have, because there won't be a need for it. There won't be a purpose for it. What do you want to be when you grow up? Jesus Christ.
Someone's also mentioning Touched by an Angel. You could not get through an episode of one of those without crying. I couldn't. I could not. It's a beautiful show. That is Roma Downey, I believe. Yeah, what a beautiful, wow.
Surround yourself with goodness. Stop surrounding yourself. And I'm telling you right now, go out and get those Harry Potter movies and sit down with your kids and watch them, because Harry Potter is the most righteous, selfless kid, and he's just an average kid. He's just any one of us. And Hermione needs him desperately, because that left brain needs this divinity of the right brain, which is kindness. And Harry wins.
Hey, that's just like us.
And Harry always wins, even though he doesn't know how he does sometimes, but Harry always wins because Harry is always on the right hand side of things, and those that are on the right hand side always win. God wins. God wins. And in the song that I released late today, which was Jethro Tull's Locomotive Breath, loco is to be crazed, and motive is essentially what motives really are frequencies out of your brain. So you're choosing left brain, right brain. So locomotive, what Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull is telling you is that this is somebody who's crazed out of their left brain, a carnal monster. And then around and around Satan's wheel you will go. But in the song, what Ian Anderson writes is that this person who gets stuck on Satan's train, locomotive breath, is the all-time loser. Yep, absolutely. And what did Michael Landon say in one of the shows we watched just yesterday or a couple of days ago? He was saying, why is it that the richest, most powerful people that I ever meet, who have no love, have no happiness, have no joy, and have no family in their lives, how do they all call themselves successful? There's no success in any of those things. You're rich, you're powerful, and you have no love, you have no family.
That's Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah, that's right. And you're not successful. And so in the song, that's what Ian Anderson is pointing out. So when you're in your left brain and service to self, you're the all-time loser. And who's the all-time winner? Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the all-time winner, because when you're with God, you win, because God always wins. And you just do that by getting on the right-hand side of everything. And right is righteous. It's right as rain. Do the right thing. Surround yourself with the right things.
You know, it's interesting that the cabal would have called this on their program, on their agenda. They were calling this the Great Reset. But ironically, it really is the Great Reset, because we're resetting dark to light. And well, we as in those who are aligned with God, right? It's like we're absolutely resetting this whole story. So it's God resetting this, and we as his children, we fell, and now he's bringing us back up. He let us have our free will, and now he's resetting us back to light. Wow, incredible that the cabal couldn't even, make their plan come to fruition without God coming and just saying.
Okay, so now, and if Eugene can hear us, and if Eugene is around, it'll be amazing timing for him to come back in. But we were going to open the show with this, but now we're going to end the show with this tonight. And this is really amazing. We all just kind of walked into it. I kind of planned the first show that way. Just because we've been talking about comms, perfect timing. We've been talking about comms and stuff, and that everything is a comm, and that everybody sort of now sees this as that this 2021, this year, has been a 1 year delta, and this is all for a reason and stuff. So when we did the show on Lord of the Rings, for those of you who, and if you've only watched the movies, you won't get this, because Peter Jackson did not have time. And you can completely understand this, because the Lord of the Rings, or the Return of the King itself, is 3.5 hours. The extended edition is almost 4.5 hours long. So you can't put everything into it. But if you've never read the books, you've missed a huge Q drop for the Q team, and the movie that's playing out is stunning. And again, it makes perfect sense because JFK was profoundly influenced. We're about the same age, and he's profoundly influenced by the same books, and these are the greatest books of all time. So they're going to be front and center, in our thoughts and therefore our plans. So in The Hobbit, okay, I want everyone to listen. Really, really listen and focus, because this is genius on Professor Tolkien's part, and it tells us that Tolkien had to be part of this white hat group. Same with Lewis, that they were more than just these gifted writers. They were on the side of good. Okay, very powerfully so. If there was a Q team back then, they were part of it. So listen to this. In the book, when Frodo and Sam are successful and the ring is destroyed and Sauron's empire is destroyed forever, and Aragorn, which is Jesus Christ, Aragorn 74, Jesus 74. Aragorn 74, Jesus 74. There are no mistakes, there are no coincidences. This is precisely
So that
what
means
Tolkien
that
was
there
talking
is a
about.
frequency with these numbers connected to the alphabet, that is the same. So the information is very aligned.
Yeah. So Aragorn becomes rightfully established as the return of the king, but not just the king of Gondor, but also the king of Arnor, which is above, which would represent the mind, and Gondor the body. And so Aragorn was known as Elessar, which is the unifier of two kingdoms into one, two worlds into one, the metaphysical world, the physical world, the higher realm of the mind and the lower realm of the physicality of the body. Aragorn is the reunifier. That's what Tolkien went out of his way to show with the names that Aragorn inherited after he became king. So his kingdom was restored by what? The smallest of us defeating the ego by casting away this ring of power, which is carnal thought, which is taking thought out of your left brain. And when that was done, then Aragorn, the king of Jerusalem, Jesus's kingdom was won. So what is Tolkien profoundly telling us? That we raise Jesus, we bring Jesus back, we make Jesus the king of the world again when we do the work to become righteous. And you're going to hear this on Halloween night. I guarantee that I don't know for sure, but I can just guarantee you that you're going to hear this from the girls of the Sacred Blue tent on Halloween night, Sunday night, with the Jesus Strand too. They're gonna let you know this, that Jesus and Mary need you, not just want that, but they need you to start listening to their teachings and doing the work. Okay, so this is huge. Now, so what happened? Sauron is defeated. Jesus's kingdom is reinstated, so wow. And then the hobbits stay there for a while and heal themselves, and eventually they return home. Now, Colleen and Justin, how long, and I mean to the exact day, Tolkien writes, how long were the hobbits gone on their journey?
Was it
1 year.
1 year to the day. 12 months. 12 months. 1 year to the day. 1 year delta. 1 year calm. Getting a little bit titillated here. Gets better. So listen to what happens. When the hobbits return home to the Shire, they don't know about any of this because they live apart from the rest of the world, and they don't want to hear what's going on. They don't want to take part in what's going on. They don't want to know the world of men. They just want to sort of hide in their little realm. And that doesn't make them bad or anything, but it doesn't make them part of this world. It doesn't make them part of this team of righteousness and goodness. And so they're separate. And long story short is that the wizard Saruman was released after Sauron was defeated. And with his last sort of gasp of evil, Saruman chose to go to the one place on earth that was the most innocent, pure, green, and beautiful, which was the Hobbits' land of the Shire. And when Saruman got there, he used his thugs to intimidate the hobbits, and he took control. And what did he do? He started hacking every tree to the ground. He destroyed their beautiful, round, curved, curvaceous hobbit holes, and he replaced everything with square brick buildings. And Tolkien wrote this. Tolkien wrote that he created a system of gathering and sharing, which is Bolshevism. This is what the communists did. And so this is very, very significant. And so what one old gaffer told Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin when they returned, he said, I see lots of gathering. I don't see any sharing going on in Saruman's realm, which is the Soviet Union, which is any of these Bolshevik countries. And so the significance of what I'm telling you is that they didn't know that it was over. They didn't know that Trump
So the
had
hobbits
already
in the
won.
Shire didn't realize that.
They didn't know that JFK and Trump had already won. So they were just living a movie of evil being produced by an evil producer, in this case Saruman, who was showing them what evil really looks like, and that you have to do something, because the hobbits were completely afraid of Saruman's big men, and they used violence against them, and they had turned the hobbits into little cowards. And they capitulated, and they went along with everything. And there were rules everywhere. They were told what they couldn't wear, when they had to be in early. There were curfews all the time. And then again,
Which is exactly what's happening in those in Australia, and
food
can attest
restrictions,
to that.
everything. Okay.
Yeah, anyone who resisted was put in jail,
And that's right. Anyone who was resisted was forcibly put into jail to scare other people. They made public examples of them. Okay, so what did Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin do when they came back? They're going, what's wrong with you people? The war's over. We've won. Like, what's going? What war? What war? We don't even know. They didn't know, and they'd been living this hell. And so what did Merry, Pippin, Frodo, and Sam do? They instilled strength, sovereignty, divinity, family, courage in these hobbits. And more than anything else, that's what they did. So because these hobbits wore the armor of God, and they had no fear of these big men. They know that they were gonna defeat them, because these hobbits had been to hell and back again. Jesus said, I am a man. My name is a man, for I have been to Egypt and back again. I've been to hell and back again. So they'd seen the worst, and they weren't afraid of these ruffians. And so very quickly they rallied the people, and the people came out of their houses, and they bound together, and together they fought this army of big men, and 19 hobbits died. And 19 hobbits died, and their names were kept in a roll forever, and always taught to all future generations of hobbit children to know that these heroes that laid down their lives for freedom. And that's what Merry, Pippin, and Frodo and Sam said to them. If you don't have freedom, you don't have a life. You don't have anything that's worth living. So it doesn't matter if we're going to die in this, we have to try. Because if you don't have freedom, you're not living. You're already dead. You're in a worse place than death, that middle world. And so that's what happened. And do you not see that this is a perfect calm for what's happening? Are you totally blown away? It is totally showing what's going on right now. That we are the hobbits, and we don't know that Trump and JFK went to Mount Doom and defeated the 13 Kabbalistic families, that they defeated Sauron, and that the war's over. And that what we're watching is a 1-year delta so that we can wake up and start fighting for our freedom. And when you read that chapter, which is called The Scouring of the Shire, you'll see, not you, because all of you have been so strong through this, but people who read this with the light turned on, they're going to go, shit. All of those little hobbits that complied and capitulated, that was me.
It just kind of reminds me of when you were saying that you know, when you're watching a video and there's a lag time if your internet isn't very fast. It's like consciousness. When your consciousness is faster, you might be living these things quicker than someone. There's lag time and everything just kind of slows down if there's a denser frequency. So for us, these things have been happening, and for others, they're about to happen. And we're preparing the way for them, because we're going to be there to hold their hand and to love them and to have compassion and to.
Well, that was the best part about that, was everything that Saruman destroyed, the trees and the houses and everything that he ruined in the Shire, came back bigger and better. The tree, the oldest tree, the largest tree in the center of town, was planted with Galadriel's dirt, which gave it the blessing of the mother, and it bloomed in this tree that stood the test of time and was the most famous tree in all the area, because it was the only one. And yeah, so that's what we get to do when we go through this awakening, is all these people who feel like they lost so much, or they're never going to get their old lives back or whatever else. It's like, no, we're going for brighter and better. We're leveling up. We're getting even more, but we have to let go of the old. And yeah, how amazing was that?
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. I want Colin, Eugene to jump in as well. But what I'll just say again is that Justin explained a really key part of the book, because in when they were
Lothlorien.
when they were in Lothlorien and were with Galadriel and Celeborn, they each got gifts. The gift that was given to Sam was this little box with a G on it. G for Galadriel, she said, or perhaps garden. And
Or
then
God.
or God, and God intervention powerfully. And when Sam came home with his treasure, his reward from Galadriel, what he found is that this little box was filled with a lot of tiny little seeds, and then one bigger seed, which was what Justin was talking, the Malorn tree. And it was the only Malorn west of the Misty Mountains, and it was famous. And people came from great distances to see it. And that was planted where Bilbo's party tree had been cut down by none other than Saruman himself. And everything grew at a record pace. Now, here's something else. That the Hobbit children, up until that point, rarely had blonde hair. They mostly had darker hair. But in the year that followed the defeat of evil, then the Hobbit children started to have blonde hair. And the Hobbit children began to be extraordinarily beautiful when they were born. And that many Hobbit children, like Sam's daughter Eleanor, who went on to become the sort of leader of the Shire in the future, his daughter Eleanor was so beautiful that they said she looked like an elf.
So they're talking about Tartarians.
Exactly.
The Aryans. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Aryans.
And that the crops were, the Tolkien said that children literally bathed in strawberries and cream.
Oh.
And that the trees were laden with so much fruit that children created mounds of what did he say, date seeds or plum seeds. Yeah, I think it was plum seeds. And they would make mountains that were like pyramids, he said, with all the seeds from the trees, because the trees were laden. And everything that Sam planted grew at a record pace. And that by the first season, like here in Mexico, they were already bearing fruit, they were already bearing flowers, and they were growing at an enormous rate. And so everything was advanced, Sam said, by about seven years to one. And this is the miracle. You have no idea what's coming. When this Christic energy is reigns supreme, when the King of Jerusalem is here to serve mankind. This is not a king that is going to rule over you and that you have to give taxes. This is a king that is going to serve you and will wash the feet of the least amongst us out of kindness, out of love. And that kind of frequency that then transmutates throughout this earth will transmutate every living thing. And when you will see what trees are supposed to look like, and you'll see bounties on trees that you never imagined possible, that's what's coming. This is what's all coming. And it was all foretold in the night sky. If you truly, truly, truly have the courage to know this story of astrology in the night sky, it tells you this. And that's why Jesus did what he did. And these are the powers that Jesus have. For God is the God of the living, not of the dead. And you're going to see why we're frugivores. And you are. You're 100% frugivore inside and out. You're not a carnivore. You're not an omnivore. You're not an herbivore. You're a frugivore. And you're going to see why. The truth will be shown because future proves past.
And with that,
Yeah. With that, this has been a great show, a little bit different this week, or this strong, I should say, because we didn't have any guests on. We had some cancellations for this evening, but the conversation was, as always, gone to just the perfect space where it needed to go, and we covered exactly what we needed to say.
right? And there were so many people in the chat that had questions that we were answering as we went. So that was really fun too.
Yeah, always fun for that. Yeah, definitely. But if you do want to be on the show, the sign up link is in the show notes. So make sure to fill out that form and we'll get you on the list. And if you do sign up to be on the list, please, please, please check your emails and respond to the emails so that I can coordinate with you and you can be on these shows. Otherwise, if I don't hear back from you, I'm just gonna skip over you. But yeah, this has been a absolutely magical night with you guys. As always, I love you guys so much. I love everyone in the chat. It's been absolutely perfect. Do y'all have any quick closing comments before we end for the night? Eugene, you got anything?
Yes. No, because we were talking about the serpent earlier, and I want to bring up the fact that when Harry slays the snake, because that's again, was it Perseus slaying Medusa? So it's slaying the lower nature, the lower desires, and that we must die because he eventually goes to die. But it's the balance of the meditation. And funny enough, the snake is the 8th sign, which is Scorpio. So we get that reproductive system. So we must rise above the sexual capacity, right? Because that is the capacity of creation. That is the capacity of the world. That chi, that golden chi 77, Christ 77 energy is you. So you must raise that thing. And so when you rise from the lower snake to the phoenix, which is basically an allegory for the eagle, then you're overall, and finally you've raised the chrism, you've raised Christ back up to the top, back up to Hiram Abiv. And let's see. And then the other thing I wanted to comment on was just like how Gandalf protected and educated Aragorn, as Charlie said, and Dumbledore protected and educated Harry, I think the Father will protect and educate you. So leave it in his hands. Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. That was beautiful. Charlie, you're muted.
And Justin, just really quickly, Phoenix 91 God 7, 91. Oh Lord God, 91. God wins, 91. Flat Earth, 91.
I think comatose is 91.
Who is Q, 91. Spirit, 91. Future, 91. Can be decoded, 91. Liberty, 91. Buckle up, 91. The Father, 91. Stargate, 91, which, by the way, is not aliens, is just your pineal gland, okay? Hercules, 91. Cancer Cure, 91. Dream Chart, 91. Radiation, 91. God Wins, 91.
End of time.
End of Time, which is a good thing, not a bad thing, 91. So
I love the radiation. Wow.
so it's a miracle, my friends. It truly is. Colleen and I have tried our best. We really have, to share as much as we possibly could, to awaken ourselves as much, to be able to receive as much as we could. And now it's in your hands. And what's coming in the days that are going to follow, this is so exciting. This is Friday, October 29th, and there's a lot that happened today.
We're so close,
don't,
guys.
Don't kid yourself. There's a lot that happened today. And Sunday is Halloween. You'll you'll see some things, and then we get serious, because Monday is the 1st, and Tuesday is the 2nd, and Wednesday is the 3rd, and Thursday is the 4th, and if you could see these astrologically as well, these days and dates, they're stunning. And so buckle up, 91, and don't fear. Know that whatever is going to happen, it's not going to harm you. Trust in the plan.
God has this.
And if you don't trust in the plan, and you panic and worry over this next little bit,
It means
that's on you. That's on you, okay? And
It just means you're not having faith that God has this.
That's right.
He has this.
He absolutely has this.
And when we have fears, when we have doubts, then we're actually inviting lessons to help us get over those fears, which means that you're going to invite other scenarios that might be more scary. So the more that you stand up to fear and say, not today, then you're powerfully saying to God that I don't need those lessons. I don't need those reminders to have be presented towards me. So just remember that if you let the fear in, you're inviting more of it. It grows it spreads like a virus, it spreads like a disease. Don't let the fear in.
Because that's right, Justin, because the only virus that exists on this earth is our left brain. And it's not going anywhere. We can't kill it. You can't kill it. You kill it for a day. You're king for a day, as XTC, the wonderful Gnostic band XTC, saying, is you're king for a day, and you wake up tomorrow and you're in the exact same place. Bill Falconer in the chat is saying, is La Palma volcano Mount Doom? You bet it is.
And we could throw the ring in.
Don't kid yourself. JFK grew up with this stuff. This movie has looked like a combination of all these wonderful books and stories. So no fear, know what's coming. It has to happen this way. Their system has to collapse. Prices will escalate. Things will sound like they're really horrible. And then at the front of this will come Nasara and Jasara. Promise you. At the front of this will come Nasara and Jasara. Trump is hinting at this like crazy now, that he can't wait to get the money off of his hands and back to where it belongs. And basically,
but don't lose sight of the fact that this isn't just about financial security. This is about us changing dark to light, and that means inside of us. So kind man needs to come forth, and the only way it can come forth is if we do the work ourselves.
Exactly. So all that the Nasar Jasar really is it just takes all the stress off of you. You don't need that stress on you. It's been killing you. Stress kills.
Time and money.
Stress kills. Okay. So you take the financial worries away, and then all of a sudden, when the child says, I want to grow up to help animals, Oh, you want to be a veterinarian? No, Mom, I don't want to harm them. I want to help them. I didn't say veterinarian.
You said vegetarian.
I said vegetarian. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so that's what you're going to be able to do because you're not going to have to worry. So all these people that are telling you, you know what we need moving forward, or we need more jobs, we need better jobs and stuff. What the fuck? The fuck? There's no need for an economy. It's all fake. There's no need for an economy. So it's going to be great, and just trust the plan. I just cannot stress enough at this point. Trust the plan. God wins. Jesus is real. Jesus is here. Jesus is coming. He's bigger and better than you could possibly imagine. He's not here to reign over you. No, he's here to show you and teach you sovereignty. And then what will this world look like when we all wear crowns?
Yeah. Love you guys so much.
I agree with you, Babs.
We'll talk to you next time.
I
Bye.
love you guys. See you soon. Maybe tomorrow night.
Maybe tomorrow.